You ever wonder what makes a great gamer? Great gaming is not only about cheering on our teammates, but also being there to pick us up when we're down.
Guardian down!
We're a Destiny 2 podcast that focuses on three things: community, news around the gaming industry and Destiny 2, and thought-provoking topics in the game. We're Guardian Downcast. Your stories, your community, your destiny. What's up, Guardian? Welcome to episode 323, Guardian Downcast. I'm your host, ToddtheGatr, and I'm a Day One Guardian who loves gaming and especially the Destiny franchise. We're the podcast that's all about your stories, your community, and your destiny. For those of you who may have just discovered our podcast, we're a weekly gaming show with an emphasis on the Destiny franchise, but we like to sprinkle in some entertainment and other topics of discussion relating to our hobbies from time to time as well. We also have Roundtable episodes, typically every month, for a more diverse conversation, and that is what you're going to be hearing tonight, by the way. For those of you listening right now on the podcast platforms out there and want to check out our live shows, just go to ToddtheGatr, that's ToddtheGatr, on YouTube, Twitch, and of course now you can hear us live in our Discord community. You can listen in, or you can actually touch in and actually see our faces and all that good stuff. So you can hit the RSVP event tab in our Discord if you ever want to get alerted to when we do go live. And it's typically Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We also have a replay of tonight's show on my YouTube and Twitch channels. And of course, the audio versions are always available for all the podcast apps out there. Or you can go to our website, guardiandowncast.com, to listen to any individual episodes whenever you like. I have my co-host from the great state of Utah, Mr. Kingsleymac, back with us tonight. How you doing, Mike?
Doing good. I'm touching in, like you mentioned earlier. I'm glad to be here.
Touching in. Sometimes I amaze myself with my phrasing. Thanks, man. Appreciate you being on
that's
tonight.
Awesome.
Also, tonight we have two community members on the show. First, she has actually been on two of our past episodes. One as a guest, episode 207, and another on a past Roundtable episode, episode 266. I think that was the Women in Gaming one, if I remember correctly.
Yes,
She's been a part of our Patreon community for a while now and a member of our community for over 2 years. It's our baking aficionado. So please welcome back Miss MohawkAngel. How you doing?
Hello. I'm doing well. Still baking.
Excellent.
Just like I have been for the past 3 years. Yep.
I love it. Well, thanks for coming on tonight. When I threw it out there in the Patreon chat, you were right there to answer, and I'm glad
I
you
snagged
answered
it so fast. I was so excited.
Well, we're gonna. You guys have a new podcast tonight too. We're gonna hear about that in just a bit here. But I also have a newer member of our community. I'm really curious to know more about him tonight as well, as this is his first appearance on our show. So please welcome, I hope I say this right, AraluenRanger01. How you doing?
I'm good. You got it close enough.
All right, good enough for government work. I like it. All right, I'm just going to call you Ranger probably so I don't tongue-tied over the rest of the show. You already approved that, so we're good.
Perfectly fine.
Excellent. I did want to mention also that both of them have a new podcast now called Beyond the Lvl Up, and I will post the links to their new show in our show notes of our podcast when it does come out in audio form. So again, welcome guys. We really are looking forward to talking with you tonight. Well, this week we have our monthly Roundtable episode for September. Today we're going to talk about our past week briefly. I have not one, but two movie reviews this week. I'll also mention any highlights from the Sony PlayStation State of Play event that went live yesterday. Then we're going to jump to our first topic of the night with MohawkAngel. Kingsleymac will be next in line with his chosen topic. Then we're going to break off for a brief update of any important information from this week in Destiny. I'm really curious what Bungie has to say this week after promising to elaborate on leveling up in the game after mentioning it in last week's TWAB. So I'm curious to see what they have to say this week. Then we're going to our next topic, and AraluenRanger will be next in the lineup. Finally, I'm going to close out the night with an article that was brought to my attention from a actual fellow community member, Mr. Bleehee. This article had me a bit concerned about the future of podcasting, actually, and I'm curious what everyone else here thinks about this. As you can see, we have a lot to cover tonight, so if everyone's ready, let's roll.
Hey, thanks for listening to Guardian Downcast.
There are several ways you can contact us. First, you can find us on X at Guardian Downcast. Or you can find us on our Instagram at Guardian Downcast and see what pics and reels Todd the Gator and his podcast guests want to share with you guys. We have a brand new website too. Just visit guardiandowncast.com, where you can find all of our contact info, leave us a voicemail, give our show a rating or review, search for any past episodes, or even give back to our community. Also, don't forget to sign up for future updates to the show, where we'll also have random drawings throughout the year, and you may win a gift card or even some GDC merch. And finally, you can send us an email at guardiandowncast@gmail.com. Our community thrives on interaction, so get involved and check us out. And later, Guardian.
Well, before we get into our topics tonight, guys, I just want to go around the horn here and kind of catch up, see what everybody's been up to. I want to start with you, Mohawk. It's been a while since we've had you on the show. Catch us up. What you been doing in your life lately?
Man, I'm still at the bakery. I mentioned that earlier. Doing very well. I've become our head cake decorator, our kitchen manager, our head baker. At this point, I'm also like a partial admin assistant because we did lose our admin assistant roughly 2 years ago.
Okay.
So it's, as of right now, though, it is the owner and myself currently baking everything. It's definitely stressful. This week in particular, I'm working, by the time our event is over on Saturday, it'll be about 50 hours,
Oh, wow.
if not a little bit more than that. So definitely a rough week. Not all weeks are like that, thankfully. So yeah, right now it's the owner and myself doing all the baking. We have one girl who comes in the morning to help us with dishes, and then we have a 3-hour break, and then we get someone else who does the dishes from that time to close.
Okay.
Other than that, I started a small business about a year ago making bookmarks because I'm a really big book nerd, girly, whatever you want to call it.
I like it.
Yeah, so I make these like jewelry chain style bookmarks that I've been doing decently well.
Okay.
And I play a lot of Marvel Rivals and Phasmophobia. Those are like the two games that I've kind of been into lately. I am going to do Elmer Fudd's Fortnite tournament this upcoming weekend.
Awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, not much new with me otherwise. Still hanging out with my 4 cats.
Yeah, you beat me to it. I was going to ask you what you were gaming, but you just answered my question for me, so thank you.
Yep.
Well, it's good to have you on tonight. Thanks for coming back on tonight, and I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about here very soon. Kingsley, let me go to you, man. What's going on in your life this week, man? What have you been doing? I know you've been. I see you've been playing some more Tom Clancy, right? I think that's what I've been seeing you playing this week.
Yeah, except no one calls it that. It's called Division 2.
Okay. It's funny. It's funny when you look on the Discord, it says Tom Clancy's Division 2.
I know, it puts the full name together. I think when you even boot up the game, it's like small print Tom Clancy, and the big print.
He's got to get his money, man. Yeah. That's his commish. He's got get his commish every time someone lights it up. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I of course having fun playing lots of games, but actually I already kind of got through most of the DLC for Assassin's Creed Shadows because that also came out this last week.
Okay.
And it is a great story. I won't spoil anything, but if anyone's played that game, it does bring in another character that we were hoping would come into the game. And some really fun mechanics where, you know, most Assassin's Creed games, well, all of them kind of have that normal 3D exploration stuff. But at the very beginning of this DLC, they do a 2D platforming thing that's just beautiful, better than any other game I've seen done. And then, of course, it goes into the normal game. It's not like it's all 2D platforming, but they do that for a little bit, telling the story. And I'm like, wow, that's brilliant. They put a lot of time and effort into that, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
So, you know, still playing Borderlands some, playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, playing a lot in Division 2. They had a cool thing. Imagine if Bungie did this, where they picked 3 content creators, and one of them is the main one that I follow, his YouTube channel, and in the Discord, it's called Rogue Gold. And they got to put in the game for these 3 content creators custom skins for a backpack, a gloves, knee pads. So those are like the armor pieces, you know. And then they got to also pick challenges, like kind of what you would. It's not a bounty because it's like a weekly challenge, like what you would have something done in Destiny.
Right.
And if you do that for a few days in a row, you get the backpack, and then the other pieces like the hat and knee pads and stuff come from random chests. And so I've been having a lot of fun with that. Just kind of, it'd be so cool if like, Guardian Down and a couple other communities got to have like, but it would probably be like, much bigger. Yeah. Even if it was someone like Fallout or something, wouldn't that be cool if like Destiny had like a Fallout version of something, in the game that we could help support and go for? That'd
be awesome.
Little things like that could bring interest in the game for sure.
Yeah.
Been doing a lot of fun with that. TV, I always forget, the shows that I mentioned in the past, but I probably mentioned it at some point, but I still like reality TV from time to time. I used to be a big fan when shows were coming out in the early 2000s and watching everything, but I still watch Big Brother a bit, and that season is about done. We have about a week left. It ends on Sunday. So if anyone's a Big Brother fan, hit me up, but it's been a pretty crazy season on that.
My wife and I watch Amazing Race, and they have a Big Brother edition coming up soon.
Yeah. Amazing. So of the trio of the big 3, and they're all CBS shows on Paramount. I love Survivor a lot, although I used to be huge on that. Big Brother was always my least favorite, but I enjoy Amazing Race, but I enjoy Amazing Race still. And then Big Brother is fun too. And so there's a lot of stuff to watch out there. So that's basically it. And
very cool.
Yeah.
Gotta love the social experience, the social experiments they're always running on these reality shows. That's what I get out of them. So how people react to each other. Are they going to be reactive? Are they going to be more proactive? Or, how are they going to?
It's always, you got to guess, you got to be good at reading people, because most of these shows, it's like a jury of your peers that decides the ultimate winner when it's down to the final 2. So you got to know, is the people that are in the jury, are they going to award based on merit, which traditionally it should be, or are they going to be vindictive and not give you, even if you did really good in the game, but they don't like you because you voted them out or something, then so that's what you got to juggle and figure out how people are going to.
Not only how you won not only that you won, or towards the end of the game, but how you played it. I mean, everything is judged. It's great. That's great. Well, thanks, man. Can't wait to hear your topic tonight. I got opinions for sure. That is for certain. Since Aralu and Ranger, since you're our first. Your first time on our show tonight, I just want to get to know you a little bit more here. Where does this podcast find you, first of all?
How do you mean?
I mean, where are you from? Where are you hailing from?
Oh, Texas.
Okay, Texas. Nice. And I got to ask, man, where did you get that gamer tag? What's up with that gamer tag, man?
So, probably around 13, 14 years old, I found this book series. And the author originally wrote this series to essentially tell his kids bedtime stories.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
He was making up bedtime stories for his kids, and he started writing them down, and eventually he published them.
Oh.
But it's called the Ranger's Apprentice book series.
Okay.
And the first part, Araluan, is the name of the land that they come from, the country. And then they have a Ranger Corps, and the Rangers, essentially, they're like the Secret Service, right? And there's one in each quote unquote state. And so I'm Araluan Ranger, and then I wanted to be number 1, so I'm 01.
Araluan. I'll try to get that right tonight. I still think it's Zorealis. Zoralius.
It's okay.
Zorealis with this and some this and Z stories. Oh my God.
Don't feel bad. As his co-host, I still can't get it.
Still can't get it?
Nope. Yeah, and I've been on BBL probably 5 or 6 times, and none of those guys can get it right either. So
I imagine Coderson has a problem. Yeah. Coderson probably. I could see him trying to figure out Verlin. Coderson cracks me up. I like him. He's good. He's a cool dude.
Poor Cody.
I like Coderson. Let me ask you this, just some signature questions here. What do you do other than gaming? What other hobbies do you have?
So I like to read. I'm trying to get back into working out. I like spending time with my family, my girlfriend and our kid. So I kind of steal their hobbies.
Oh, that's fun.
Just because that's just what they like to do, and I like to sit there with them. So my boy, he likes doing puzzles.
Okay.
So he has an entire the cabinet is roughly this tall,
right?
And at least that much of it is all puzzles.
Okay.
So I do puzzles with him. My girlfriend likes to draw and paint, so I'll sit down and do that with her. And then I like to do Legos. So
nice.
like Pokemon Legos, like really, really fine, tiny ones.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, you love Legoland down here. Oh my gosh. Even just at Disney Springs, which me and my wife will be going there tomorrow night to see another movie. Man, their Lego store is enormous, man. And it is always busy. It's never, I mean, it's like a circle. The store is like a big circle. So they rotate you in and they keep pushing you out. It's like a Play-Doh extruder. They just kind of, you got your stuff, you paid for it, now get the hell out of the store. Yeah, it's funny how that works. Since we don't have a whole lot of time to do a full interview tonight, what's one thing that our community may not know about you? Just a fun fact. Sorry, I know I sprung this on you. This wasn't in the show notes.
I enjoy teen drama TV shows that are meant for like women.
Okay.
Like Vampire Diaries.
Okay.
Vampire Diaries.
All right.
I enjoy that.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I
don't know why. I
that.
just like it. I have no idea why.
Everybody has their shows they like to watch. I don't judge it all, man. I don't. Some of the stuff I watch, you'd be amazed. Well, thanks. Well, welcome tonight. And like I said, we'll get into your topic a little later in the show. Looking forward to hearing about it. For me, last week, it was Iron Banner, man. It was all about Iron Banner. I actually have 3 accounts in Destiny. Nothing's changed, right? And I of course worked on my main account, which is my GDC1 clan account. And man, I got to tell you that the armor was fantastic. Weapons, hate the weapons. I hate the weapons in Iron Banner right now. They suck. I hate hand cannons. I hate all the weapons they have out right now. That has the new tier system. But I loved that the Iron Banner had its own little dock, its own little house, and I love the way they, I did guild my Iron Lord title. Pretty easy to do, I got to admit. I just started playing and I didn't have to do a whole lot. And 15 levels on a track wasn't too bad, I didn't think. And the rewards were decent, but I could really care less about the ribbon tail trace rifle or hand cannons at all. But I know that's sacrilege to some people out there listening right now. But we did it mostly on PC because I actually did stream a little bit of it this last week. And man almighty, the amount of cheaters we ran across on the PC lobbies. I finished up the second to last game we played on a big map. And there's this one, I don't know if it was a lady or not, but her name was her gamer tag was feminine. And she would slide and shoot me in the head with a sniper rifle. I was like, okay, that's not real. So then we looked at their clan, and their whole clan brazenly said, "We are a cheating clan. We all cheat. We all cheat. Have fun. Do what you need to do." And I'm like, this is on the Bungie website, man. We are a cheating clan. They're sitting there talking about how great their clan is and that they cheat in Destiny. I'm like, wow, this is just surreal. Really is surreal. So yeah, that's what I did all week. I'm hoping that Iron Banner does come back and they have another weapon, but we'll have to see what they have planned. I won't get into Destiny too much, but I really hope that Destiny keeps bringing these events about at least every couple of weeks, because that'll keep us busy until we can get to Renegades, which is what I think everybody's thinking about right now. But I did play a little bit of Borderlands 4 with Kingsley. He introduced me to it last week or the week before, and they have had so much backlash with all the performance issues and they've been patching. They've been throwing patches out there, and even the CEO, Randy Pitchford, blew up at everybody saying, what's up with this game? It's not well optimized. And I guess he took offense to that. But I said, you know what? I think I'm going to push Borderlands aside, just like I did Cyberpunk. Wait for them to get their shit together, get all the patches out where my computer isn't singing like a canary when I turn it on. And I'm going to come back to it. But the little bit I did play with Kingsley, I had a great time. I'm definitely going to play some Borderlands more. Kingsley's laughing. Go ahead, Kingsley.
That's just an excuse to not play it. There's really not performance issues. People are making a big deal of it.
It's all right.
And it's only performance issue if you try to run it on 4K.
I know.
Only a performance issue you try to run it on 4K.
I turned it to 1440 and I think 1440 60, and it definitely got quieter. So, I mean, it's not unplayable.
You don't care. Okay. Also, what are you talking about fans? It's normal for fans to run on newer games. Just because Destiny isn't new and doesn't have good resources doesn't mean other games
Destiny's so well optimized, man. My computer barely.
No.
Okay.
It's old, so it doesn't need a higher graphics card.
Okay, very true, very true. We were just talking about.
I tell the truth, people.
We were talking about Destiny Rising before the show, and they said, it's a new engine and stuff. I said, well, yeah, Destiny 2 is an 11-year-old game now, guys. Well, 8-year-old game, but you get my point. It's the same engine they've been using since 2014 when the game came out.
So it doesn't hit newer video cards hard at all because it uses 2015 graphics.
I got a ton of video RAM left when I play their game on max settings. It's amazing. But anyway, I won't go down the rabbit hole because we got a lot to talk about tonight.
But you did.
I did anyway. I'm looking forward to October 10th. Battlefield 6 will be coming out soon. And like I said, it's just been Iron Banner this whole week. Now, I did see 2 movies at the theater, and we did see the new movie starring Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell called A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey, which kind of was a love story with some weird magical twists and stuff in it. It's a little out there. Throughout the movie, though, it kind of held my attention. The actors were certainly very charming, and the writing wasn't too bad. It had that classic ending, though, which was a little disappointing. I'm always looking for a movie to throw me a curveball at the end. I'm like, oh, mic drop, But this one was the ending was very trite, very overused, but it was still a good movie for me. The Rotten Tomatoes didn't like it too much, but I give it 3.5 stars. It was a good movie. If it comes out on streaming, it's worth a watch, especially if you're looking for the beautiful Margot Robbie, and the other guy, Colin. If you're looking for a pretty movie and has a little bit of a love story to it, and it's a weird love story too, but I won't spoil anything. The second movie we just saw last night called Him. This is about a kid that's obsessed with football. And more importantly, his idol quarterback, he grows up and becomes his replacement. And man, does it get wacky from there. Even though the movie went a bit off the rails at the end, the art style and imagery of this movie, some of the best I've ever seen. The camera shots were very well done. Well worth a watch, especially on the big screen. We saw it in the IMAX theater, but beware, it does get bloody throughout the movie. I give this one 3.5 stars, mainly because of the off the rails stuff. It got a little out there. And this is from the guy who wrote Candyman. I don't know if anybody ever saw Candyman, that horror movie a long time ago, but it's from Jordan Peele's studio Monkey Paw, but it's not a Jordan Peele movie. I thought it was. It's not. It's someone else wrote the movie and directed it. It wasn't Jordan Peele, but it was under his publishing house. But I still think it's worth a watch. I give it, like I said, 3.5 stars. I thought it was good, even though the Rotten Tomatoes critics only gave it 36%, and the audience only gave it 58%. And I think the film was just kind of misunderstood towards the second half. And if you, it's the kind of thing you're either going to get it or you're going to miss the mark, and that'll decide how you like it or not. But it was very symbolic of the NFL right now, if that gives you a clue. So if you see it and you like it or you hate it, let me know in the Discord. Let me know what's going on there. I am going to see One Battle After Another tomorrow night. It has very high ratings, 98% certified fresh from Rotten Tomatoes. Ton of people in it. It's got Sean Penn. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio in it, and a bunch of other stars. So I'm looking forward to at least seeing what that's about. And according to Sean Penn, he says when he first read the script on one of the Tonight shows, he says, I don't even want to spoil it because I want to make sure that you guys are surprised as much as I was when I first saw the script. So I'm like, okay, that's a good sell for me. So we're going to go see that tomorrow night. I did want to mention PlayStation had their State of Play last night. And I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but I want to at least touch on it. I thought it had some high points in it, but a lot of stuff that I'm never going to play. But they did start off with a new game that's coming out in 2026 called Saros. It's kind of a space third-person shooter. And then they finished the show with one Wolverine Behind the Claws, which look really good as well. But all these games aren't coming out until at least 2026. So, but they did talk about these new wireless speakers that they're making for the PS5s. And you can use it for like anything. It's a wireless speaker. It's Bluetooth. But I'm really probably going to pull the trigger and ask for that for Christmas because it's not coming out until December. But that was kind of the highlights for me for the PlayStation State of Play. A lot of the games in there, I know I know a lot of my Dynasty Warriors 3 games getting remastered, which is kind of cool. That brings me a lot of good old vibes from playing the tons of hours of that game. But those games I played, I don't really need to play them again. So, but anyway, that's me this week. Thanks for sharing, everybody. But I think it's time to move on to our first topic. We're going to do that when we return.
Hey Guardians, I'm currently freezing my butt off because Gator has the thermostat too low, but you're listening to Guardians Downcast.
You're listening to what?
You heard me.
No, it's Guardian Downcast. Do I have to be jealous
I
again?
know.
I'm over this. Cut. All right, for our first topic of the week is going to be from MohawkAngel. So, Mohawk, I'll turn over the talking stick to you. What do you want to talk about tonight?
My topic of choice was the black hole of long-running game franchises, and whether they are a cash grab or like a meaningful continuation of storyline, specifically the games that are storyline based, rather than, your battle royale and things like that. In 2025, we've seen the release of the continuation of game franchises like another Destiny 2 DLC, Final Fantasy, and Borderlands, and anticipate the projected releases for 2026 for Assassin's Creed, Monster Hunter, GTA, hopefully, and Resident Evil. And while the fandoms each grow increasingly excited for each release, I also wonder, how long do these franchises need to continue? Do the devs only want my money? And wait, I thought this story was over. I myself have been excited for some of the aforementioned franchises and games, but when do the stories finalize so we can move on to another?
It's a good question.
How long? Yeah, how long do we let these stories continue until we're like, okay, we're done now. Let's find something else.
Well, I know Kingsley will fight you on Assassin's Creed because that's his game.
I'm sorry.
I mean, even if you think about it, Destiny 2's been around for 11 years now, and the story continues with it as well.
Why are you trying to answer for me?
I'm not answering for you. I just said when she mentioned Assassin's Creed, I said those are fighting words for Kingsley. He's going to have
my argument will be way more nuanced than that.
Okay.
Don't you worry.
Well, I'll start off. I'll get the ball rolling here. I came from Call of Duty, and talk about something that never wants to die. No one can kill Call of Duty. You know why? Because people.
That's another one.
They still buy the games. They still make hundreds of millions of dollars every time they release a game.
There are 23 Call of Duty games.
I know. I played probably
and
20
more, technically. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the zombies is what kept me playing Call of Duty because I could play by myself and see how good I can get through, how many levels I could get through zombies. That's what kept me playing it for a while. But the story was kind of thin. I mean, they had characters, they had a storyline and had characters and stuff, but after a while, it's just the same thing, And as far as, Borderlands and what was the other ones you mentioned? I think Borderlands was one. I won't speak for Kingsley on Assassin's Creed, but I mean, I think nostalgia in gaming, it's the same thing that's happening in movies right now. Everybody wants that nostalgia. They want those member berries, right? They want to remember when they played Dynasty Warriors 3. That's why they keep remastering these games and regurgitating and throwing back out. And Dynasty Warriors has a brand new game they just came out with last fall. So I think a lot of people, I think what's happening in the gaming industry is I think the gaming industry is maturing. I think your players are getting older. If you look at today, what's taking people's attention, video games, there are a lot of younger players who play video games, but there's a lot more younger people that are watching TikTok and short form videos and are not playing video games. And I think the gaming industry as a whole is trying to bring in new members, new people into the gaming industry, but a lot of them aren't biting. It's attention economy now, you know?
I think a lot of these younger players also aren't playing the games that we kind of grew up on. Like, yeah, we did grow up on Call of Duty and I guess GTA even.
Oh, yeah.
And Final Fantasy has 17 games, or is going to have 17 games by the end of next year, 2027. But like, I know a lot of the younger generation now, they're playing Marvel Rivals, they're playing Overwatch, Fortnite, like all of those games where like they can go and kill their friends because they think it's funny.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these games have made it a social game. That's what Destiny did. They made it where you play with your friends. Those memories are what keeps people coming back to play the same game. It keeps them in that gaming universe, you know? I mean, we have more people are playing games for longer hours now, but the statistics have proven it out to even the investors out there. There's fewer gamers. They're just playing longer. And people are definitely attached to their favorite communities. And it's very hard to shake someone from, like, say, a Destiny 2 to go play a Borderlands game or a new game that's coming out like that Ceres that I mentioned earlier. I mean, it looked cool and everything, but am I actually going to sit down and play it? Kingsley knows that answer. Probably going to be no. Probably going to play a game because I'll probably be playing something Renegades and stuff by then, or whatever comes in 2026 after Renegades. People get comfortable in their communities and in their gaming spheres, if there's such a word. And it's really hard for developers to market to those people and break them out from their habits, their gaming habits. But I don't want to dominate this topic. What do you two think, Kingsley or Araluen?
Either way, I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not about Assassin's Creed at all. This is about bigger picture. I love the topic that you bring up. And in my opinion, I want to start off with cash grab does not have to equal a bad product per se, or a product that should stop. So to me, I kind of ignore the thing about cash grab. I just judge it on if it's fun or not. I think it's perfectly okay to have repetitive games because people enjoy these things and a lot of times they work out well. Now, obviously, if you have a repetitive product where it's not doing good on one of these repetitions, maybe two, because one could be an outlier. But if like you have like two new versions of the same franchise that comes out again and it's not doing well, then obviously the developer should stop doing that franchise because it's just absurd then. I mean, some people do. There's opportunity cost, loss where people just keep doing the same thing over and over again when they should change. But I think it's okay for us, like a book series we really like, music from our favorite artists, and often when they come out, now maybe like the Battlefields are a little bit different, but often these games, when they come out, there's enough new lore, new PvE worlds and elements that make it interesting, that who cares if it's the overall same main character or even not main characters, as long as there's new stuff to explore. That's why I would love a Destiny 3 versus just keeping it how it is. I think it would do much better that way. So just my nuanced answer, I don't think we have too many of the repetitive games. As long as we don't see developers making 3 in a row that are really bad, and or we never have indie games either. And we know we still do. We have amazing games like Expedition 33 and stuff. But if those totally dry up, then my answer would be different.
Yeah, okay. Good point. Ranger, what do you think of all this, man?
It's my nuanced answer.
That was a nuanced answer.
Love you.
I like it.
I personally think there's something to be said about multiple different facets of this argument, right? Like, there's the repetitive nature, and Todd, you were right with the whole people get comfortable in their communities. They get comfortable with their systems. They get, like if you say were to have only played Call of Duty for the time you started gaming till now, and then somebody handed you Destiny 2 with the current way the system works, there's probably not a chance you'd come back to it unless your entire crew of people was moving over to Destiny 2, because the controls, while similar, the interfaces are all completely different. Right? And that can come from younger generations not wanting to put in the effort to learn, and then older generations, because I've seen did you guys ever see Sniper Grandma or whatever online?
I've seen
I know who you're talking about.
I've seen Grandpa Gaming that snipes. Used to be a Navy sniper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't seen grandma. I didn't know we had grandma who did that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's actually really cool.
Very cool.
But you have the top end generation and the bottom end generation with differing issues. The top end being like, well, do I really want to take the time to work with this system and try to relearn something?
Right.
Or do I just play the thing that I've been playing? Right.
I so get that.
So I think that's part of it too. And then with what Kingsley was saying, the not too many, and then the multiples of bad. Right. I can agree with there's not too terribly many. It's just they're the major titles. Right. They're the ones that everybody knows because they've been around forever. And there's probably 15 of them, maybe.
Right.
I don't know, Angel, if you have more research on that. How many different super repeat offenders we have versus Destiny 2, which is technically one title, just years and years and years of content. And then trying to figure out how I want to phrase my words. Sorry. With the multiples, there's a handful of topics, one of which in my mind is Pokemon, where the last handful of games have been essentially a repeat. They haven't really gotten any better. They just moved to a different concept.
Right.
And with Nintendo being the only people that have rights to that, if you want to play this one game, you have to spend $600 next year because that's what the new console costs.
Yeah.
How does Pokemon add new content? Do they make new characters, or what do they do? Because in Mario, when they make a new game, I always love it because it's all new worlds, all new experiences. But what does Pokemon do, since I'm not into Pokemon?
So they recently, the only thing they've done to really be new is they add about 100 to 150 new Pokemon, and then they change the art style. So when back in Game Boy days, it was 64-bit, right?
Yeah.
Then they moved on to a slightly more 3D model in the DS realm, and then now they're actually doing full-on 3D model. But other than that, the game is very linear. With advancing technology, they've done this more 3D and open world style modeling and things like that. But the last 3 games, Legends ZA, Legends Arceus, and Scarlet and Violet, they all kind of look just the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's funny you should say that about.
Are they doing well? Do you happen to know? I have no idea myself. Are they selling well?
Yeah, but it's because it's Pokemon. It's because it's Pokemon and Nintendo.
Low followers. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's funny you should bring up the top end of the spectrum. The you could just say older gamers that don't want to learn something new. Man, do I fall into that? I think that's probably the main reason. That's probably the main hang up why I don't play other games a lot, because it has to feel familiar to me, and I really hate learning new controls. Hence why the reason that Destiny and a lot of shooter games model their controller settings to Call of Duty's, because everybody learned on that controller setting. And in Battlefield, for instance, there's a legacy setting on where you can hit your R3 stick and you dive down instead of knifing, which I found out really quick. I had the setting wrong on that. But yeah, I mean, everybody is vying for attention these days, and the gaming industry, to be honest, is losing the battle. they're losing the battle. I think their audience is getting smaller and smaller. And if anything, getting the newer, younger gamer, I'll say it again, is getting tougher, and it's getting harder for them to bring in the younger gen, what's after Z, the zeros or whatever they call them. It's hard to bring in that crowd.
Alpha?
The alphas, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bringing in Gen Alpha, trying to bring them and introduce them to video games. And I got to tell you, the games that start off with more of a children's level game like Pokemon or Fortnite, those games are grabbing people early and holding on to them in those environments. I mean, Pokemon, my God, how old is Pokemon? I did not get sucked into that that atmosphere because my son did. And it's the kind of thing where the Pokemon community is enormous. I think mainly because so many people got involved with it early, and that was very smart in there. And Nintendo the same way. What do you have to say?
Well, with how long Pokemon has been going on, it is getting passed down from generation to generation. You see these young parents who have their toddler crawling to plushies of the starters so that they pick their starters when they're a toddler. They do that with the Sorting Hat with Harry Potter too, because that just made me think of that.
That's true.
But yeah, I think that game in particular has continued for so long because we are actually passing that down through generations. I know that my husband and I have already talked about doing the toddler thing with the starters because we have those already. And he and I each also have our own plushies of our favorite starters. Because he got me into it when we started dating. He was like, so here's my obsession. I need to share this with you. So I feel like Pokemon, is one of those things that's not going to die. I think we're just going to continue to pass it along.
Yeah. You know what's funny about, and I was looking up, I thought it was even older, but Pokemon, I guess, started in 96. But another way to put this, Todd, it's been out for 30 years.
That's when I started my business, 95. That's crazy. Yeah, that's nuts. So, yeah, I mean, in Call of Duty, I think is the same. Think of how many young kids play Call of Duty. And I mean, you see all these wacky characters and cartoon characters they're putting in their games. It's really putting off all the old timers that love to play that game. And like, what are we doing here, man? We got all these wacky skins on our army men that don't even look like army men anymore, And that's because they want those Fortnite kids, man. They want those Fortnite kids in there grinding Call of Duty. They want to get them that fix, It's smart marketing. It really is. But this is Destiny's problem right now. This is Bungie's problem right now. Is their audience is so diverse, and everybody wants to play this game differently. They have their own way. They have their own routine when they log in every day of what they want to do. For me, it's totally different than what Kingsley does. Kingsley, if there's no new content, Kingsley probably isn't going to even log in. I log in every day because I want to get those seasonal bounties done, the ones that give you bright dust and stuff. And I'm just slowly building up my
your bounties.
Just slowly build my bright dust up, They don't have repeatables in there yet. They said they're going to put repeatables in there, but I'm waiting to see what they do there. But that's the thing, is these gaming studios not only have smaller audiences, and sometimes they have to try to appease their old timers or their legacy players, and at the same time try to figure out how to bring in new players. This has been Destiny's problem from day one. They don't know how to introduce the new player to this game, where a lot of us have been playing Destiny for 5 years plus. We know everything about the game. We don't need an introduction. So anyway, it's a great question. It's a very deep question because I'm really curious how this. I got to thinking about this the other day. I think the gaming industry's in for a huge change. I think once AI becomes very, very established and it starts coding a lot of these video games, one, you're going to have less bugs because you're going to have basically, you're going to have AI, which has learned and gotten so good at what it does, is going to perfectly code these games where humans make mistakes, or humans may not be able to grasp how this, we got emblems that are crashing Xboxes in Destiny right now. Well, what's the correlation between that? If you could just plug it into an AI an AI unit and it immediately can run simulations and figure out why it's doing it. Think of what a human has to do to correct that. I think video gaming is going to get a lot more leaner. I think the studios are going to get leaner and meaner with the adoption of AI. And if that happens, then video games are not going to be like movies. They're not going to take 2 and 3 years or 5 and 6 years or even 10 years to make. They're going to make these games in half the time because they can immediately plug in the programming and get it done. I feel really bad for programmers right now. My son is one of those, and I'm really worried about some of these guys' jobs. So that's the way I see
That's
gaming.
fine. You just gotta move to a higher level thing where you orchestrate it versus doing the actual coding.
Yeah.
The actual coding's boring anyways. Like, let AI do that and then move to being an integrator where you're putting together, like making sure it works and stuff. Yeah.
But to answer your original question, Mohawk, the reason these stories won't die is because these communities have to keep going to keep feeding these studios. And a lot of people are raised up around these games, and there's so much nostalgia in gaming right now. You see it in the movies too. No one wants to make a new movie anymore. They want to make a Superman 9, That's what sells. I mean, it's sad but true, but that's what plants butts in the theater.
We should look at the ratio. There's a lot of good original movies that
there are some out there. And A24, I always champion A24 because they always release the movie off the beaten path. That's what I love about A24. They take a lot of independent movies and they really produce them and get them out there and distributed.
And I feel like of all the movies you reviewed over the last year, I'd say about half are interesting ones and half are repeats. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good mix. So good question. You have anything you wanted to add, Mohawk, before we move on?
You guys would be mad to know that I put Destiny under my cash grab category. Because
so I am curious. Why do you think cash grab is like a bad term? Because businesses want to make money. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, yeah, but like, why are we continuing to get content in Destiny when we thought that Final Shape was going to be the end? After we've defeated the Witness, why are we continuing?
It was following along. We knew that wasn't the end. It was just the end of one story. We knew even before they announced that it was going to continue. So, yeah.
So then make a different game instead of continuing to have us buy DLCs. How much money have we forked over in the past 11 years on DLCs?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, any game that wants to get money per year is going to make more money than gets money every 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I get it. So I don't think it's so much how much money they want as if what we're getting is worth the money. And that's kind of the conversations we're even having in the Destiny community right now. It's like, oof, it's not looking so great right now. Like, I still think the DLC was worth the money. But I look at it a different picture. Like when content is gone, I'm like, that was still worth my $40. How much I played, like how many hours I put into it. But a lot of people, they're used to the old school Destiny where it's like, you're playing for days and days and days, and they're like, well, now my $40 went for like half a year to a year, and I got all this stuff. And so when you're looking at it from that angle, it's definitely getting worse.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I can see both sides of that. Like, yeah, I got my money's worth at the time, it is what it is. But then, you figure out that like, oh, this is my favorite raid. And, it gets taken from you because it's, however many years old, we got to make room for another one. Like,
yeah,
that's
the biggest reason why you should just make another game is like, just
exactly
make a new engine. Keep all the old stuff. Like Destiny 1 didn't go away. You can still play it.
Yeah.
And imagine if Destiny 2 just stayed how it was with nothing taken away, and then they started making a Destiny 3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Kingsley. I didn't agree with him. I didn't agree with him 3 months ago, but now I'm starting to see the light that they really need to turn a page with Destiny. I think they need to start working on it. At least start heading down that path, and because people want to play Destiny, they want to play this game, but. And I feel like the way they've switched things, I know you guys haven't been playing Destiny lately. It's totally different now. It's a whole new, the portal system is it. I mean, that's the interface to get into this game now.
It's a number simulator game.
Well, and I'd be lying if I said that was the reason why I haven't returned. I have not played since, early 2023, probably midway through 2023, because everything switched over to something new. And you're like, I just spent however long trying to learn this game that I love. I absolutely loved it. King's Fall was my absolute favorite raid. And then it's like, oh, you've got a new system you got to go learn. Sorry. Like, I'm sorry. I don't want to go do that. I like sticking with my comfort games. Fortnite is cool. I've picked up Marvel Rivals very well. Phasmophobia is my current obsession right now. Okay. But that's the same shit, different font, like every single game. But it was really hard to see what things were being changed in Destiny. And it's like, I don't really want to relearn everything, especially because in 2023, I would still consider myself a new player. Because I think I started playing Destiny in late 2021, maybe early 2022. I joined GDC in 2022 towards the end. And I was starting to have a whole lot of fun. And then it's, everything changed. Yeah. And it was just a lot to try to adjust to, that it just wasn't worth it.
Well, that's the problem Bungie has been trying to figure out, is how do we integrate new players? And I think this was their attempt at it, is resetting everybody to 10 power. And everybody basically starting from the beginning. And they have something in the TWAB tonight I'll mention that might help people who have been just sitting back and not enjoying Destiny.
Well, yeah, so that was now, but you're mentioning 2023. So even several years ago, they were losing people by making changes. Like, how many times are they going to try this before we realize the changes they're making aren't working?
Lightfall, that would
it was like right after Lightfall. Yep.
Yeah, Lightfall was a big disappointment. They lost a lot of players after Lightfall. And that was just a filler. Yeah. That was just a filler DLC because they didn't have Final Shape ready. I don't know. Opinions vary. Don't hold me to that, I guess. But I love you, Miklo. Miklo 1503. Oh, I'll be playing till the servers burn. I'll probably be there with you, man. And Dude Bro 714 says, I got Borderlands 4 lined up with Destiny grinding after. I know, man. I know. See, this proves my point. It proves my point. We still want to get our grinding in. Anyway, we got to keep moving. Moving. Thank you, Mohawk, for bringing that topic tonight. That was a good topic. That was a good question to ask everybody. All right, Kingsley, you're going to be up next right after this.
Hey, this is Heyoka, and when I'm not squishing Thrall, I'm listening to Guardian Downcast.
All right, Mr. Kingsleymac, you're up next. What do you want to talk about tonight, man?
Yeah, this article is talking about, it's titled, Why PlayStation and Xbox Are No Longer About the Station or the Box. Get what they did there? But a lot of what I'm going to read in here, probably a lot of people know, but I think they did a really good job of consolidating all this information. There's probably at least one or two points that maybe some people don't know about. And I have some interesting commentary also. And then I'm curious, of course, what you all think.
Okay.
But first, a little history. Consoles, as we all know, used to be a lot more much of us versus them, PlayStation versus Xbox. When PlayStation and PlayStation 2 first came out, they definitely dominated Sega, Nintendo, Microsoft, selling over 100 million boxes, and they created a very profitable, virtuous cycle where more consoles meant selling more of the games, and which meant attracting more developers to make even more games. And that made a lot of money for Sony. Mm-hmm. Then a little bit later, the wars started, which kind of enlisted your friends too. Microsoft really turned the table on that first. They did way better than Sony with, in 2005 with the Xbox 360, which made local and online multiplayer the standard, way easier than what PlayStation was trying to do at the time. Just in time for this expansion of online gaming, 4-player couch titles that what we kind of had before, but just true online gaming. A lot of people, I remember it's like, well, my friends are all playing this game and they can play online with friends. So of course we're going to buy an Xbox because we want to play with our friends. So that's kind of how the wars were going back and forth for a while.
Yep.
And then a funny thing happened after Sony introduced the PlayStation 3, which at the time was the most powerful hardware yet. But it angered devs because it was known that Sony's exotic cell architecture was so unique. It wasn't a standard that they were doing. It was really hard to make games for it, even though it was technically a superior platform. It was just really hard to do. A lot of, for example, there's a famous saying by Valve co-founder that said it called it a waste of everybody's time, how hard it was to develop for them. So by that point, no game console manufacturer wanted to risk repeating the same mistakes of like, okay, the fight of having better hardware, but it might be hard to develop for, or not having the co-op is good. So by 2012, both Sony and Microsoft had smartly, in my opinion, chosen AMD x86 chips for their next hardware. Couple reasons. They're both set on a standard, and also AMD is typically way cheaper than NVIDIA for doing stuff. And so for consoles, it made a lot of sense, so they could keep their costs low. But it really started giving them this same similar infrastructure and architecture as Windows PCs, even though they weren't technically PCs yet. And both Sony and Microsoft never looked back. They combined with the rise of pre-made multi-platform game engines like Unreal and Unity. Then it became a lot easier for developers to bring their games to more platforms simultaneously. But really today, the wars are over. You don't really hear that as much. I mean, we have a history, like people that have had Xbox for a while are maybe staying with that, and then PlayStation. But if anything, it's like slowly over time, more and more people are moving to PC, or they're just sometimes still having a console just because they're used to it or whatever. Or if you're younger or don't have the money, you get a console. And because of this is actually another reason, and I'm sure we're going to talk about other reasons tonight, maybe even other topics, but this, because the wars are over, is another reason why console prices are starting to rise, not just because of the economy and tariffs and everything, but because the console wars are over. Because now it's not so much about competing about what console you'll get, other than Nintendo, but that's just the stepchild off to the side. I mean, of course, they're still, I'm mostly just talking about Xbox and PlayStation tonight. But because every game is playable everywhere, I mean, sure, we still have some stragglers of like exclusives that will come out on one system and maybe not till like 4 months later another system, but like really every game is becoming playable everywhere these days. Even Sony has their first Xbox release with Helldivers 2 on Xbox. And to me, this is so obvious. I've been saying this for years. It's like they got to have all the games everywhere. But finally, Sony and Microsoft are realizing it's more lucrative to sell their games everywhere than to try to have an exclusive and hope that people will just buy there. Like, you can only get our game on this system, so that's how we'll make money. No, it's better to just put your game everywhere. Duh, right?
Yeah.
But boxes are not necessarily going away either. I know there was some rumors or even misinformation in our communities where we thought we heard like, this Xbox that's out right now is probably the last one and they're just going to move to streaming only, or who knows what PlayStation's doing either. Well, actually both have confirmed, and Microsoft has already confirmed it's building the next gen Xbox. Mm-hmm. And they're saying it'll be the largest technological leap you've ever seen. And then also, rumor mill already has some supposed PS6 specifications, so we kind of know that it's not done yet. But for the last 12 years or so, most people haven't realized an Xbox and a PlayStation have fundamentally become basically the same thing. They're basically a budget AMD gaming PC that punches far above its weight and cost. And this can help reach millions of players this way. So what can we do to have games play everywhere? Well, basically, games are being developed more and more now so that they can be played on different versions of hardware. This used to be a thing. Even Xbox a little bit had this issue, but mostly Sony had this issue where certain games only run on certain systems. And yeah, when a new system comes out, they might have an updated version, but it wasn't automatic. When you have a PC and a game comes out, how it performs on an older PC, and you put that same game on a newer PC and it runs a lot better. You don't have to get a PS5 version of the game. It's the same game and it runs better on the PC. So that's kind of what's happening now is Sony and Microsoft are making games that will work on any type of hardware, any type of older or newer system, and it'll just scale whether you're playing on a Asus handheld, Xbox, PlayStation, high-end gaming PC, middling, gaming PC. And that's also why it's looking like the rumor for the next Xbox is probably what the rumor is. They say it's going to be just kind of a series of little mini PCs in a type of thing, running Windows actually and playing Windows games, but it's going to be hardened down to an Xbox interface. Some people say, well, that was already happening. Kind of. I mean, yeah, technically Microsoft had some version of Windows on it, but it's not the same where it could scale games. But the next Xbox is supposedly going to be able to scale games. So this could be a huge thing right there. And so Sony and Microsoft can focus even more on being a game publisher and an operating system vendor, cloud provider, instead of being loss leading hardware. And more on that in a second.
Right.
On pricing. So it's possible that Sony, I'm almost done here, Sony and Microsoft might stop short of truly becoming a little tiny console in a PC. They may not be ready to give up their crown jewels or their gaming portfolios just yet. They might just pay it lip service for one more round of consoles, but then we've been saying this year after year. But neither company necessarily sees its future in a box as their main goal, though. That's the point we're making. They see their future in games themselves. Games that could sell many more places than they currently do. The box will continue to be the tip of the spear, but it's no longer the point.
Yep. I was going to bring that article tonight, and you beat me to it because it is a great article. And I tell you who's making bank right now on the future of consoles is Hideo Kojima. Did you guys see the trailer for the new OD Knock game that they're making for Xbox? The new Xbox coming out? Man,
I don't know.
If you Google it, Google OD Knock. There's a trailer that they're making for the latest Xbox coming out, and then he's also making a Metal Gear Solid type game called Fizzent. And it's just going to take 5 or 6 years to make, which we know that's going to come out on the PS6 that he's working on for Sony. This guy's got his hands everywhere. He's even got a VR game he's even making right now with developers. This guy understands it, man. I think consoles, to sell their console, I think they're still going to try to get an exclusive game, but I agree, Kingsley. I think down the road they're going to release it into the other consoles and platforms as well, because like you said with what's the one that was PlayStation exclusive that was a big hit, live service, Helldivers. I mean, they sold a ton on Xbox.
Even Final Fantasy is being announced. It's going to come to all platforms too. So I really don't know if I think exclusives are going to be less and less, if not at all. And if they do have an exclusive, it'll be mere months versus like in the past where it was a year or never. Yeah.
And you remember PlayStation had that Cell processor. All the developers hated developing for PlayStation because of that Cell processor, which was totally different than any of the other processors out there. But you notice that all the new PS5s and stuff are all AMD architecture now. They're all basically all computers. They're all basically
PS4s were too.
Yeah. It's an AMD architecture. Yeah. So it's just a computer in a box. It really is. They're all built so well. They're all built so similarly now, and we won't even talk about Nintendo because they're off on the side on their own thing. But the technology's there for all these games, and what makes it nice is now the developers can easily port games to any of the consoles, or even Steam or Epic or whatever is out there that distributes games now. But when I read that article, I was like, man, that is so on the point now. And PlayStation was hesitant. They were hesitant to bring out and sell games to Xbox, but I think once Helldivers sold so well, I think they're sold on it now. I don't think they're going to look back. But I just noticed, I saw there's no trailer for Fizzent yet, but the OD Knock is going to be made for Xbox. I'm guessing the Xbox, whatever comes after the Xbox Series X, which thankfully I did not buy because they really don't have any exclusive games for that console. And PlayStation did, PlayStation 5. But I think that just makes sense, man. That's just the way everything's going to have to be done. And it goes back to my first point that Mohawk brought up in our first conversation is our gaming audience has gotten smaller and more mature So we now have the bucks to pay for boxes if we want to pay for a box, or even for a high-end PC. So I think there again, they have to do what they have to. I think Sony's looked at the industry and sees what's coming. I think they're just adapting to the times, which even though they were late to the party, I think they finally realized that money's money. They don't care where it comes from, right? Xbox adopted this a long time ago. They want to be a publisher, not a hardware producer, even though they are still going to make those boxes. But
they've had exclusives even recently too, like Indiana Jones and stuff. But it's only been like 4 months before that came to PlayStation. It's.
And I mean, I can get it because I have Xbox Game Pass for PC. I can get any of the Xbox games right there. I'm paying my
not any of them. Not all of them are on the PC. Actually,
okay.
Console, Xbox, and PC. Xbox is a little different, but generally, you're correct. Yeah,
I got you. Mohawk Ranger, you guys have any comments on this? You can speak up whenever.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that article. I think that what we're going to find as consumers is that on the console side, you're going to start seeing a standardized 4 or 5 month turnaround for games, right? Because like you said, they still need to make their buck and guarantee people are going to buy their game on their console and not just, oh, well, I play Xbox and I've never owned a PlayStation, so I'm going to go play this game on Xbox because it was released the same day. They have to have a reason for people to want to enjoy it on their console versus just, oh, well, you have this, so you'll get it same day. So, I think that's probably going to end up being a standard, is a quarter to half a year profit margins for the first round of sales, and then you up the ante with the second round of sales, moving into that second console.
Right.
Then you up and progress even further. At that point, you can then up the ante again, put it all on PC. So now you have 3 rounds of sales, and that kind of chases that hopefulness, I think, for the older gaming crowd or the younger gaming crowd, whoever wants to see fewer of what Angel was talking about with the repeats.
Right.
I think it opens that realm up to that, because like, oh, well, you're all going to get it in different stages based on who your primary platform is. But because we're having a higher income, because we're getting 3 rounds of market sales,
right,
we're going to be able to produce better games and different games and more games. And so I think what you're talking about with the smaller size of the crowd, right? The gamers are actually shrinking in size. It's also a way to combat that too, right? We don't have as many of you, so we got to get multiple rounds of sales through, get everybody to purchase our game at least once.
Yeah.
That, to be able to continue to have video games in the future that, cost less than $100 for the base game.
I got you. Mohawk? What do you think?
This is semi-related and semi-not. I've definitely seen amongst our communities, I've seen an increase in people swapping from console to PC. Just because PC has better specs, you can choose whether you want to use a controller or a keyboard. Like, I would love to learn how to use a keyboard, but I have an Xbox. And if you try to use a keyboard on an Xbox game and you get reported, game over. Because I would love to play keyboard on Rivals. I think my aim would be so much better if I could do that. But right now, a PC is just not in the cards for me. But as Kingsley said, consoles are an affordable way for, people to play video games. And I think hopefully they continue to be that. But I also, I don't love the whole thing where you do have to keep buying the next edition of these games if you want to play them with every console you buy.
Yeah. And that was kind of my bonus point, the money thing. The one main downside with this is, since they're more focused on the games and not the consoles, we've already been seeing this. Some prices have been rising. They don't want to sell them at a loss anymore. I think a lot of people don't realize that Xbox and PlayStations should cost more. They're selling them at a loss. They're not selling them at cost or a profit. And I'm not saying I want them to do that necessarily to help all of us that want to buy it at a cheaper price, but it also unfortunately makes sense. They don't want to sell them at a loss anymore. What you get for that price is actually a pretty good mini PC. So if they start selling them for more actual cost or, God forbid, a profit, it will push even more people to getting a PC because it gets closer to that line.
Yep.
But then it sucks for the people that don't have the money either way. So that's the main downside of this is prices rising, and just curious what you guys all think about that. But
you're always going to have us old farts that love to use controller, even though a lot of games are controller compatible now on PC, that are going to want their box. And we have the disposable income now, and we'll pay the $500 for a console, even though a few $100 more, I could probably get a mid-level PC that'll run the game too. But
all the games work with controller on PC.
I know. But
so that's not the argument.
Steam controller's pretty good with controllers. With my PS5 controller, it's good enough.
Perfect.
It's good enough. But it's funny. A lot of times it won't recognize my PS5 controller, and I'll have to use the Xbox settings when I'm looking at the buttons. And is that an X or a?
That's because it's an Xbox game. It wouldn't recognize a PS. In fact, it's better on PC because you can actually tell it to recognize a PS controller, so you don't have to buy an Xbox.
You could probably help me with a little technical expertise because it frustrates me.
And controllers work better on PCs than consoles. Sorry, console people, but it is the truth. They have less input lag, and they can do some pretty cool things. I get better aim in Destiny on PC than I do on controller.
Well, I mean the recoil. If you're using a controller on PC on the PC game, your controller feels better in your hand because there's less recoil. There's certain physics to the game when you're playing it on PC version versus the console version. Yeah, totally agree with you.
That is true. Destiny builds in some things too, but even if they didn't, controllers work really good on PC. Yeah.
Anybody any other comments? Kind of ties into that first one, doesn't it? Ties into the first story a little bit. Thanks, Kingsley. That was one I was on my knockout list to bring to a future Roundtable episode. So thanks for bringing that to our attention tonight, man. All right. It is time that we take our small break here. We need to touch base with what's going on at Bungie. So that means it's time for This Week in Destiny. Hey, just a quick reminder that we have several Destiny 2 clans, and we invite all of you to be a part of it. If you're looking for a home to share your Destiny experiences, now would be a great time to jump in and get to know some of these great gamers. We're here for the community and friends you make along the way, and no hardcore restrictions. And enjoy what time you have for Destiny is all we ask. So if you're looking for a clan out there, join our Discord. That's discord.gg/GuardianDownCast, and just reach out to a mod, and we'll open the door for you. So join us, and later, Guardian. All right, This Week in Destiny for September 25th, 2025. This Week in Destiny, we're 2 days away from the epic version of the Desert Perpetual Raid. We're confident your team is ready, that you have some pretty good builds for different situations, and if you're aiming to be part of the world's first race, that you have checked the race's requirements. All the information on this Infinite is found below with our other topics for today. And we're not going to get into anything in the Epic Raid. I'm just going to tell you what time it's going to be on because they've repeated all this information already. The entry requirements, they do have a list of banned gear. So make sure you check that out if you're planning on running the Epic Desert Perpetual Raid. There's some banned stuff there you need to look at. There's a really cool emblem if you do complete it in the 48-hour contest mode, and also one if you complete it anytime in the normal mode in Epic version of it. And, of course, they're going to have the belt again. And if you want to follow the race live, the Bungie pre-show is going to be at 6:45 a.m. Pacific. And this is on the 27th, I believe, which is a Saturday, right? Why do they not have the 27th? Where's the date?
They have it.
27th. Okay.
And we've said it for like 3 weeks.
We've said it for a million times. Yeah. And if you watch for an hour, you can get this beautiful emblem as well. The gnarled tendrils. I'm going to watch it for an hour at least, just to see what's going on. The rules and everything are all listed there as well. They have a new, if you're worried about people stream sniping you or getting information from you, they have a new overlay. There's a link in there to go to that as well. And Nice little ring they have for completing the epic raid. Got some stones in it and everything. It's pretty nice. Bringing back the raid night. This was the important part I wanted to mention here. All right, we have some more raid news. Directly delivered by the Raids and Dungeons team, aka the RAD team. Hey all, we believe raids are a core part of the Destiny experience and want to reinstate them as the end-game ritual that provides pinnacle rewards, right? As part of this effort, we've introduced weekly challenges for the Desert Perpetual with the release of Ash and Iron. When the epic raid launches on September 27th, the Desert Perpetual will have 2 weekly challenges. The first can be completed in either version, which unlocks a second in the epic raid. These challenges will grant bonus rewards in each encounter based on the number of feats you have active. Geez, I don't think we've played at 1 feat yet. This bonus gear will drop with upgraded tier and seasonal power. So if you have 0 to 2 feats, you'll get a guaranteed tier 4. If you have 3 to 5 feats, you get a guaranteed tier 5. And depending on where you're at in the power climb, the gear will have a +7 to +2 power, depending on where you're at in the climb. If you're less than 100, it's +7. And if you're 500 plus, you'll still get +2 gear, which is a good change. They needed to do that. I was getting at power gear when we completed our encounters, Kingsley, and that was no bueno. Improving the raid gear and feat experience. In addition to the weekly bonus incentives, we're improving all gear drops from the Desert Perpetual, starting with the release of the epic raid. All gear from the Desert Perpetual will drop at tier 3 with an increasing chance of upgrade based on the number of active feats. This upgraded gear will have a chance of dropping with a large boost to seasonal power as well. 0 feats, you'll have a low or rare. Low chance tier 4, rare chance of a tier 5. You get 10 spoils. All the way up, if you have 5 feats, you pretty much get a guaranteed tier 4 and tier 5 guaranteed, and you'll get 30 spoils. There's a table on there if you want to read more about it. I'm showing it on screen now if you want to watch the replay on YouTube or Twitch. We're also continued to monitor engagement with the feat system. We'd like to provide meaningful choices for players to configure their experience to match their desired difficulty and provide commensurate rewards. Because it's an outlier in terms of difficulty, we've increased the impact to encounter rewards for cutthroat combatants. Now it will effectively count as 2 feats. Okay. Full clear reset. I'm going to paraphrase this because I already read it. You're basically going to get a massive drop the first time you complete it for the week, but you can go back and get additional clears and still get gear. Remember how it used to lock you out every week? You get your run in and you were done. Now you can go back and farm, which is nice. Upcoming portal and progression changes. Last week, we previewed some of the bigger changes we were making regarding power progression, rewards, and the portal. Today, we are ready to share an update on those changes, along with more details on what you can expect in coming updates. So they're speeding up the power climb, which, okay, we're speeding up the power climb across the board on update 9.5.1, which launches on October 14th. So we're 2 weeks from this reset coming up to even seeing any of this. So keep that in mind. It's not going to be next week. It'll be basically 2.5 weeks from now, if we're talking about as of tonight. These changes will focus on solo ops, fireteam ops, and pinnacle ops. We will work to make similar changes for Crucible Ops and Desert Perpetual Raid in a later patch. So, if you're playing in the normal difficulty, you're going to get +7 with an A score, and down the road from there, depending on your, all the way down to +5 if you get a C score. Advanced +6, +5, +4. Expert +5, +4, +3, +2. Master will be +4, +3, +2. And Grandmaster, which is where I'm falling right now, will get +1 at a B score, +2 with a B+, +3 with an A, and a +3 with an A+ score. And then the Ultimate, which I'm not even in yet, they are for B+ and above, you'll get power increase as well from +1 to +2. That's all we need to know, really. They've basically have moved up the leveling modifier up by 1, looks like, for most activities. Yeah. So I'm like, well, that's great and all, but the problem is I don't want to have to play a Grandmaster level anything just to get simple power progression. So they're working on that as well. So the new Portal difficulty tuning. Another primary goal when this update comes out in October 14th, is to make everything rewarding at all power levels. A key challenge in accomplishing this goal is how the combatant power most players face when playing Portal activities can be too high relative to their power and difficulty level. You think? Anyway, in other words, we feel that the power delta players face in the Portal is often too high right now, especially when customizing at the upper difficulty levels, which can make the game feel punishingly difficult during the power climb. To solve this, we're going to simplify modifier selection when playing solo ops, fireteam ops, and pinnacle ops, so you don't need to worry about making activity power deltas too punishing. We're also going to set delta caps that are lower and easier to handle than the deltas that players were most often facing in the past. So what does this mean? Challenge modifiers will no longer adjust your activity combatant delta by -10 or 20. Instead, they will only increase the projected score and add the desired effect to the game. So if I want to get one of these +10 modifiers that gives you like fake bricks, like the trickster thing where they run over the brick and it blows up in your face. Used to be that would make your delta +10. It would increase the enemy power by 10. Well, now you're just going to get the benefit of it, and they're going to give you a little bump in score, but the delta is not going to change. This is big. This is something they've been needing to do. So this way you can choose the modifiers based solely on the effects and score bonuses without worrying about making combatant power more difficult. I mean, for me right now in Grandmaster, I have to play a 40 delta to get a B+ score. It's better now since the hot patch, but that's what I used to have to do. That is ridiculous. 40 delta? Really? That's like that's Grandmaster Nightfall level stuff, which I'm just trying to power my gear up, Bungie. I don't need to. I'm not at that point now where I need to worry about, keeping my revives because I'm going to get squashed by a scion. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, the new difficulty delta caps will be set for advanced, expert, master, grandmaster, and ultimate difficulties that are lower than what players were worrying about making combatant power more difficult, or what players were generally forced to play before when using challenge modifiers. Sorry, I read that wrong. Please note that as a result of these changes, players will no longer be able to over-level PvE activities and Portal Ops. Whoever wants to over-level it, Bungie. We are trading this aspect of the system for a more consistent combatant power experience as you earn new tiers of gear to grow stronger, more freedom to select the mods you want for the grades you're targeting, and decreased difficulty across the mid to high difficulty levels. This will notably result in easier activities when playing Master, Grandmaster, and Ultimate. And here's a list of the delta caps after this patch drops on October 14th. Normal difficulty delta will still be at 0. Advanced, -10. Expert, -15. Master, -20. Grandmaster, -25. Ultimate, -30. And you may be wondering, this is for our newer players out there, what is a delta cap? These are a restriction on how you choose how close you can approach the level of an activity with your own power level. If an activity power level is 200 and has a delta cap of -10, then the activity will get easier as you approach power level 190. In this scenario, you can reach 190 or above. The difficulty will always be as if you are a -10 power level. So that's what they mean by power delta, for those of you who are a little confused by all this delta talk. Matchmaking, quick play improvements. They're adjusting the deltas as well. Expert difficulty, fixed power is -15. Master will be -20, Grandmaster -25, and Ultimate -30, which is doable. -30 is doable. I've been playing it like -40 and -50, and it has just been brutal. Been terrible. Just know the fun police is back. All the conquest, nothing's changing. Expert will be -20, and all the way up to Ultimate will be -50. So there you go. It's the high tier level stuff. They give really good gear, so I guess, that makes sense. All right, they have a catch-up chest. For players that are new or returning to Destiny, we have something for you, too. When update whatever falls on October 14th, we will add a one-time catch-up chest so you can jump right back into the game. This chest will have a set of portal gear at power level 300, not 10, as well as an amount of unstable cores, which I'm totally out of right now. And don't worry, If you have above that power level, you will get a powerful upgrade instead. This is all good news, especially for my alt accounts. So that's good news as well. Banshee 44 is going to have a new voice. I just want to mention that. I think I skipped over one thing here, Kingsley. I just want to mention they'll have bonus engrams. This is big because when you get these bonus drops in the portal events and you get these bonus engrams, they're always like at power. They're never powerful, or they're below your power. Well, as of when this patch drops, the powerful items that you get from the chest will also, the extra drops will also be at that power level as well. So no getting 4 drops and they're all like 395 when you're trying to get 417 gear. So that's good news as well. I forgot I missed that. I want to make sure I mention that for people who are listening in. The Trials Fusion Rifle is what's going to be featured this weekend. So if you hear this before then, I think Lego Flash had a really good video about this adaptive fusion rifle, and I might actually jump in there and try to get one. It is the featured weapon this week. They have a Displate Collector's Fest, Epic Raid Collection Displate. These are really nice to put on your wall, but as you can see, I don't have any wall. It's all shelves, so I have no room for this. But yep, that's going to be coming out. It is from Displate, and I'm guessing this will be through the store. Original Last Wish. Yeah, it's probably going to be in the Bungie store. Player support report. Chronologs issue. There's a problem where you're putting chronologs into your vault and they're losing additional claimed chronologs. They're working on that to fix that. Anything else here? Known issues, Kingsley? I know the Banshee's weapon bounties are all messed up right now. You only get 2 of them. That's always a sword. And
there's a lot of things messed up. Way more than this list. These are just the ones.
These are the ones that they know about, that they're working on or acknowledging, I guess, right, Kingsley? So,
no, this is just a small sampling of ones that they're acknowledging and working on. It's a much bigger list if you go to the known issue website.
Yeah, exactly. It's always a place to go if you want to know what exactly, because I've been getting like errors and all kinds of crazy errors especially when I'm streaming too. Anyway, that may be something on my end. Who knows? Artists of the week have a Lego Crota. That was pretty cool. There's another movie of the week, and that'll do it for this TWID. We are busy implementing improvements to make several aspects of the game more rewarding, as we also work on finishing touches for Renegades before December 2nd release. Stay tuned for further updates in the coming weeks. Until then, let's focus on the challenge ahead, Guardians. Best of luck to the teams jumping into the new epic version of the Desert Perpetual. We're rooting for you. Destiny 2 community team. Thank you, Destiny 2 community team. Kingsley, before we moved on, I just wanted to ask you, man, what do you think of these power changes? Is this too little, too late? What do you think, man?
Yeah, because I don't really see this changing for a lot of people. I think people are starting, even people that claim they like to see number go bigger, more and more people are realizing, and I'm not saying everyone's like this, if you truly have a personality where you just like to do what I call chores, but like repetitive tasks, then you're okay either way.
Why are you looking at me when you say that?
But I'm actually not. But I do think it'll be a little too late, because then it'll go on the opposite side where, like, if they make it easier, then even people that do power up, they'll power up and they'll be, well, now what? I powered up quicker. So that's why this whole game of like, how fast should we have people power up? Obviously, it was too slow before, but then it's going to be faster now. So now for another group of people, it's going to be too fast. It's like, that's why I think they shouldn't be focusing on this. You got to focus on activities, things that are fun to do over and over, not just power numbering. It's such a silly thing to be focusing on, in my opinion. Also, since you brought up what I was thinking about stuff, I'm really worried about you said, who wants to overpower things? Now, trust me, you're not looking at the big picture. Mm-hmm. Remember when we used to have, if they ever bring raids back in the portal other than Desert Perpetual, this is going to be a huge, sad moment, because raids used to always have the opportunity to, remember when in any PvE activity, we could be like 30 above. The deltas went from like -50 to +30.
Right.
And there's going to be a lot of situations where people would want to just have an easier raid just to learn it, to experience it. And the normal sure is on 0, but 0 is still what I would consider low, medium difficulty. It's not easy. And I wish you could overpower and do like a +20 or a +30. So I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah, I know you especially because you're more of a raider and dungeoner than I am. I'm more PvP and general PvE stuff. That's kind of where we differ. But yeah, I know you guys like to mix it up a lot, and especially if you got better loot.
No, it's not for me. It's for people that want to learn the raids.
Yeah.
So this will actually potentially make it so less people will be interested because raids, even older raids, are harder now.
I see what you mean. I follow you now. Okay. Yeah. I don't know, man. I swear to God, and I'm jumping in and doing my portal activities every morning, and I look up and I'm like, what is this game anymore? I don't even recognize Destiny 2 hardly anymore. I mean, I remember I used to jump into the big world map and like, okay, where are we going to go today? And you can still do that. Don't get me wrong. But if you want the new tiered loot gear, you want the new powerful gear, if you're above 200, you got to go through the portal. This is why I said several shows ago, make anything in the game up to the soft cap. Even up to the powerful cap, not the pinnacle cap, because you got to play for that. Make it all the way up to 400 even, or even 450 you could go. Make you anything you want to, if you want to go play an old raid and the gear you get may not be tiered loot, at least make it powerful where people can get powerful gear. But if you're a 200 power or above, you have to go through the portal system if you want to get it. And what pisses me off still to this day, Kingsley, is the fact that everything is maxed. Everything is maxed at 300 when you go to play on the new world that they just made. The new Kepler system. I want to go in there and do a bunch of activities. I want to go run the public event they have in there, but it only drops at 300. Man, talk about a bummer. That's their fresh content. Everything in there should be banging, man. Everything in there they should be throwing so much loot at you when you play those, even if you replay the stories. I went back and played on Mythic, the storyline, Kingsley, to work on my title. You know what I got at the end? Instead of gear and loot, I got a super pack of planetary materials. I'm like, what's this bullshit? What is this crap? I got a bunch of restyled Spirit Bloom. I'm like, I'm not even using this stuff, man. That's all you're giving me for running the harder mode? Harder than Legend? I'm running through Fabled now? That's all I'm getting for it? That's a major miss, man. That is a major miss from Bungie. And I'm not here to shit on the game tonight. It's just they're making changes. That's good. They realize that they're having to make changes, but you notice this change doesn't go in effect for 2.5 weeks. What that tells me, Kingsley, is you're right. They don't have enough people. They don't have enough people to make change in this game. They have just enough people to produce content as it comes out. And that worries me, man. It really does, because there's more changes that need to be made in this game if they don't want to lose more players. And I know there's diehards like me that'll probably be here till the end, but it worries me. I'm just concerned. I love this game. I don't want it to go away. So then
they shouldn't have fired people. Let's bring in some more studios.
Yeah, man. I know. I hear you, man. And I honestly think this is too little, too late. I think they've already lost a lot of people who were grinding. They've just got that bad taste in their mouth, and now they're on another game. And there's so many games out there now that I don't know if they're going to come back.
That's why I think, because if this really made a difference, then more people would be like saying like, oh man, this is getting me back. No, it's going to be content. It'll get some people back, but it'll be the very nuanced people that like to level up just for the kick of it.
Yep.
Maybe like you. And then like, okay, this is a good change for this very small niche thing in the game. But when Renegades comes out, I know they're going to get some people back, but then we'll just be for 3 weeks again. And then we're back to the same thing. You know,
MJT2 agrees. Game has lost its identity, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, it has, man. It's really weird. If I go back in a time machine a year from now, I was playing Final Shape. I was jumping around in the new world, the Nether. What was it called? The Nether? I think it was called the Nether, something like that.
The new location?
Yeah, the new location for Final Shape.
The Pale Heart.
The Pale Heart. Thank you. Yeah, the Pale Heart. I'm thinking of Peter Pan for some reason. But yeah, the Pale Heart. I mean, I did so much on the Pale Heart, and now it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to go back there and finish any of that old stuff because I'm not getting anything for it. That's just sad. Anyway, let's move on. We have our next topic, and AraluenRanger, hope I said that right, will be next, right after this.
Scumdeath here, your favourite uncle, and you are listening to the most heavy metal Destiny podcast on Earth, Guardian Downcast. Guardian Downcast! Yow!
All right, Ranger, you are next. What do you want to talk about tonight, sir?
So, honestly, this kind of plays into what Kingsley was talking about with the box or station.
Okay.
But it's instead of consoles, it's studios. The back and forth between indie and AAA games that we've been seeing. So I think it's fair estimate to say over the last 15, maybe even 20 years of gaming, we've had kind of a back and forth in spurts, right? So it started with when games first came out, everything was indie because there was no AAA yet, right? And then we moved into the realm of the AAA where these 3 or 4 major people or major producers were producing a vast majority of the really high quality, like most played games. And then we went back to the indies, and that was around the time AAA's first time kind of started playing the safe bet, right? They started repeating a little bit, and they started not innovating as much. And the indies came in and came back and took that back from them. Well, then AAA caught up and then passed the indies, and I think that back and forth flow has sped up essentially, right? So I think instead of looking at it over terms of 3, 4, 5 years, we now have to look at it in terms of 3, 4, 5 months between the back and forth of AAA and indie, and I kind of want to like explore more what that entails for the future, right? Because I've got a couple of points, but like, what do y'all think about that so far?
What do y'all think? Whoever wants to talk.
I don't have any comments yet. Sounds great. I'm curious where you get at ultimately. So yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I want to see what your points are.
Oh, actually, I do have one comment. Okay. Sorry. There was definitely AAA studios in the 80s and 90s also. EA, Capcom, Sega, Sony. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. Generally, it's kind of going back and forth.
Well, like, did they exist? Were they quote unquote AAA when games first started coming out, or was that?
Yeah,
more
like people didn't use that exact term, but they were mega studios right away. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, EA games.
So
it's in the game. The old days.
I still play some of their games occasionally.
Yep. Played a ton of their games. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's hear your points.
Point one I had was, we've had recently, and this, I think one of you guys was mentioning this, we've had titles that feel and look exactly the same as the previous titles did, right? There's no change. My example that I could think of when I wrote this up was Pokemon, right? Pokemon, it's the same exact formula, just different graphically a little bit, and maybe a couple new features or a couple new characters or whatever, like, but it's essentially been the exact same formula for every single game for the last 30 years. So formula's fine, but why is it that the last 3 or 4 games, and I mentioned this to you guys a little bit in pre-show, why do the last 3 or 4 games haven't changed at all? Like the graphics aren't better, the gameplay is not really better, the map size is roughly the same. One is just procedurally generated, the other is truly more open space. You can travel freely. There's not progression. And then we also have indie titles like Clair Obscur come out of left field. Nobody knew it was going to be as good as it was. I'm sure somebody probably is watching it, but I didn't know. I had no idea.
Yeah, that did come out from nowhere.
Yeah. So did Balatro.
It came out of nowhere.
Balatro did too. It came out of nowhere as well.
Mm-hmm. And then the guys over in DPS were talking about V something. It's a vampire survival crafting game. I can't remember what it's called, but doesn't matter. Yeah, they have a channel.
Pull it up. V-Claire Rising Obscure is what the channel's called.
Yeah, V-Rising is the title of the game.
Oh,
V-Rising. Okay, that's like combining two games. Huh?
I just realized that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But it works. It honestly kind of works for this topic because those are both games that people are kind of getting into that can come out of indie studios recently that people don't have a problem paying for.
Yeah.
Like the biggest problem I've heard lately with AAA titles is like, well, do I really want to pay another $60, $70 for something that's basically a reskin of the last thing I just played? You know, that's the big complaint I've been hearing from a lot of people. So those indie titles are coming back, but now the AAAs are kind of pushing back with all these new features for their consoles, and they're pushing back all these, like they're trying to get that back. But so they're just like right now in a very tight line. And I wonder what that's going to do for, you know, console sales, PC sales, where the game is going to land, who's going to want to create and work with certain studios, you know, stuff like that.
Okay.
So that's point one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love it.
Well, on that point,
luckily,
go ahead, Kingsley. You first.
Luckily, I don't think I really, and I probably would be smart not to. I don't have a lot of good examples because luckily I don't play games that I feel like are super repetitive. Now, the Pokemon's a good example. But even like when I get a new Assassin's Creed game, there is a whole new huge world. And I'm a very visual person. I like exploring new places. And if people only cared without like, you know, I don't care what I see. And like, they're just maybe like thinking about like the mechanics of like, oh, I can assassinate someone again. Well, of course, that's fun, you know. But like to me, it's kind of a whole new experience. Not a whole new experience, but a good experience. So luckily, I haven't had that too much. So I think it's really interesting about pricing on games because I take a very, again, nuanced middleman approach. That's my personality. Did you know that, again, back with these big studios in the 80s and 90s, did you know that some Super Nintendo and Sega games in the 80s and 90s were $70 to $80?
I remember one of them.
They really were. And in today's world, for inflation, that would be like a $90 to $150 game.
Yeah.
So in a way, game pricing started high, it came down, and then now it's going back up again. But I do think we need that yin and yang of indie studios versus big studios to kind of like show what the value is. Because there are AAA games that I think are worth $80. You just have to make that value judgment yourself, each individual person. And then when you get a game for like Claire Obscure that's like $40 or whatever it was, it was way where I would have paid way more than that for that game. So it really is an interesting point. I'm not saying that games should always be $80 these days, but I kind of get why, because they were even more expensive in the past, again, counting for inflation. I think you just kind of have to go on what it's worth it. So I really get what people are saying, like, oh, this game looks the same. I probably don't want to pay the money for it, especially if it's another Pokemon game that's like $80. You know what? Let's just say it. Nintendo's the biggest culprit.
Yes, absolutely.
Not that no one else is a culprit, but Nintendo's definitely the biggest culprit.
Member berries. They're building all on nostalgia, man. Because there are a lot of us who started off with Nintendo, Super Nintendo.
That's where you can make the comparison too. And I get a lot of value out of a new Super Mario game, but if you're comparing like the graphics of Nintendo versus like Xbox, PlayStation, PC, should it be an $80 Mario game versus an $80 Borderlands game? Then the math doesn't really math as much, you know. But
well, even then, with the modern console being a handheld, you can then, instead of comparing it to, you know, consoles that are supposed to be played on a TV or a monitor or something, compare it to the Steam Deck. Which one is graphically better, and how many years has the Steam Deck been out? Yeah. And how many years has the Switch been out? You know,
I know.
I tell you,
it's pretty amazing what they can do. Like that Zelda game was freaking amazing. How much for how small that game was. I think someone said it was like 3 gigs or something.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was that small, but that game, pretty impressive technology what they did. So like I consider the graphics amazing if it was only 3 gigs for how big that open world was. But
true.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic. I love it. Go ahead, Todd. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I'm going to ask Mohawk. Do you want to reply to his first point first? No? Okay, I will. Yeah. Building off your first point, argument is I still believe that, when I think indie games, I'm thinking of side scrollers. I'm thinking of, game types of games that have been around a long time that started off on the older consoles, and how they separate themselves is they have this beautiful art style. And, and they have innovative mechanics too that they introduce as well, but it's still a side scrolling game. I mean, I played Contra long ago, and if the modern indie games today still are side scrollers like Contra was years and years ago. But I still think, and the Chinese developers are already doing this, Black Myth Wukong, if you remember when they came out with that game, they used AI to make a lot of the backgrounds and a lot of the surroundings. And I think once a very large American, I'm not being prejudicial here, but I think it's going to take an American developer, a big one like EA or someone, to embrace AI, because face it, it's here. We're going to have to live with it. I think once they embrace that, it's going to be very painful for personnel. There's going to be some major shifts and major layoffs, I think, when this finally does happen. But what's going to happen here, though, is AI is going to be so inexpensive that I think even the indie developers are going to be on the same playing field now with AI power that normally would take a whole room of programmers to do the same thing. I think now indie developers can make beautiful games like Clair Obscur did. I think Clair Obscur was 33 main developers. They did a little bit of contract help outside, but 33 people made that game. And that game is fantastic. I'd be curious if they used any AI when they built that game. I don't know. I don't know enough to know that, but I think until it becomes mainstream and the entire gaming industry starts to embrace the busy work, the stuff that takes programming knowledge, a lot of technical, repetitive technical stuff that needs to be done to make a video game. I think when that is finally embraced in this industry, there's going to be a major shakeup with developers. And I still think games will start coming out sooner because of that streamlining. And I think I don't think there'll be a discrepancy between indie and major AAA games anymore. I think everything can have high production once that is integrated into the industry. So that's my take on it, on your first point. But I'm curious what your second point is into this.
So apparently Kingsley and I think a lot alike, because my second point goes into the pricing and the hiking and the price increases.
Right. That'll make it cheaper, right? AI is going to make development costs a lot cheaper. Human capital is the most expensive part of any business, whether it's my service business or whether it's EA making games. Human capital is the most expensive capital. And when AI can replace a lot of those jobs, that's going to make your costs, and it kind of relates to my topic tonight before we go. It's going to really lower production costs. And I think because of that, they might be able to start competing price-wise if they want to, or they just make
I know money. That's a much bigger topic, because I think it depends on if they want to, but also we didn't even get to this angle. But yes, AI can code well and you can fire people, but you need people, the creative vision. You need to move people to different positions, and then people that look over the lore that AI is creating and say, "Oh, this is crap. We need to fix it up." But companies aren't going to do that. They're just going to want to fire the employees, have the AI not have good integrators at first. So it's going to get worse before it maybe gets better.
Maybe, yeah.
And will they really lower the price? They may for a couple, just to be like, hey, we made an AI game. We're going to lower the price to make people feel good, for like a little carrot on the stick. But I don't think in the long run, AI will really lower prices, unfortunately.
I don't think it'll just make these developers more profitable, which means they can take more risk. They can make some games that are out there and quit making like Mohawk's point, quit making the same game 5 times. They can start coming out with innovative games. I mean, Black Myth Wukong was innovative. It was a beautiful game. It just blew away everybody.
AI is just coding. They're not coming up with those ideas.
Well, I think they used AI to create some of the procedural generated screens in the background and stuff. But it was Clair Obscur is the same thing. It's not totally open world. Clair Obscur, when I was playing it, you only had certain points. It made it look like it was open, but it really only had certain paths that you could go, and there really was no climbing or jumping over stuff. There was a little bit, but it wasn't extreme. And that you could see the limitations of the architecture of the game when you start playing it, even though it is a 3D game. But yeah, at price wise.
But what about pricing? What do you think, Ranger? Sorry if there's any other points you were going to make with that. What do you think is happening or going to happen?
I think you're both right to a point. So I think that they will, first off, paying 33 developers, each of them needs to make a living wage, assuming that that's going to say $70,000 a year. What's 33 times 70,000? A lot of money, right?
Yep.
So the thing with the cost going down for games, I think what it'll actually do instead is, because they'll be able to make games for dirt cheap, right? They buy their own AI that makes their games for them. They own the AI, they don't have to pay it, right? So they can get rid of however many developers they need to get rid of. But instead of lowering game prices at all, I think they'll stay roughly the same, if not increase, to pay for the next generation console to come back down in price. I think they'll bring the consoles down in price because you're going to sell way fewer units of a console than you are of a game.
That's an intriguing idea. I'm not opposed to it.
Didn't think of that either. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you reduce your production cost, if it is a big reduction in production cost using an AI engine instead of human programming engineers to create your game, that gives a studio a lot more leeway. Their budgets can be a little bit more flexible, and that can change everything.
I know for sure they're going to fire too many people. They're going to go too far. And if they don't have a good enough creative directors or overseers, the games are going to be crap. Sure, they'll be not buggy, but they'll be boring. People will be looking at them like, what is this? It's like, this is boring to me. So that's why you still need the human element to oversee direct stuff.
I was just responding to Dr. 3314 in the Discord chat because I totally disagree. And he says, I believe AI will only harm the creativity and ultimately hurt the gaming industry as a whole. Let's make this clear. I don't think AI should be involved in human creation. Human, that didn't sound right. I don't believe AI should be involved in human creativity. I mean, the artist, the art of a video game, and video game is art. And once you start, my daughter's dealing with this right now. She got laid off from her job. She was a graphic artist. And I don't know if they went AI route or just downsizing for stock price or whatever. Who knows really? But AI is going to start taking a lot of those creative jobs, and you see the AI platforms out there now that can.
I'm more skeptical about versus like coding jobs. Yeah.
But let me make this clear, Doctor. I'm not talking about the game ideas and story. Storytelling is very important. It's a human element, and I'm going to get into it later because this ties into my subject. But I'm talking about the medial task, the menial task, like programming, making sure this works the way it's supposed to, making sure these
the coding and the QA, right?
The menial stuff, the menial task.
Well, don't talk down to it too
I'm not. Believe me, I can't code. Think of all the school these coders went to learn this programming language, only for it to be learned within 2 days by an AI, engine.
Well, like I said, the math stuff is where AI is best to take over.
Linear,
and
predictable.
The most sense to take over.
Yes.
The logical math stuff.
Linear and predictable stuff. Yes.
Well, if you've seen those AI generated pictures that we've got all over the internet right now,
that's what I was referring to.
Major flaws.
Yeah.
They have major flaws. Like, the reason why they have those major flaws is because they can't innovate, right? You get
on the creative line aspect.
It's getting better though. It's getting better. If you've ever seen Heyoka put an image together, that man is a master. And I think the creativity part in making AI art is going to be in the prompts. It's going to be explained. And it's funny. I was actually, when I was over in the UK, Heyoka was demonstrating how he makes his AI art sometimes. And he'll actually sit there and talk to the AI platform or whatever it is, like it's a person, like it's an artist sitting there drawing something for you. And they say, well, that looks good, but maybe we need to have the gator stepping off the plane, not into the steps, maybe on top of the steps. And maybe he needs to have his hat backwards like he wears on when he's streaming. And before you know it, it's thinking, and boom, there it produces it. But I think it's the creativity still has to come from the human mind and guide the AI, whether it's prompts or whatever, and then create the image that person was. And now the fact of the matter is, Will it get to the point where it'll create exactly what we're thinking in our mind? I don't know.
Usually not.
No.
You usually have to massage it a bit, you know?
Yeah.
That's why you need the integrators, like what I was talking about. I'm worried the companies are going to fire too many people, not just the coders. They're going to fire the creative people too. And that's where they're going to realize they went wrong and then have to hire them back.
Yeah, Doctor, I hear you, man. You're going to still have to have humans to review the AI generated code. Yeah, I agree that you got to be able to have some quality control. I get that. And I mean, AI has phantom answers all the time that you need to fact check that stuff, because I'll do research for a topic on whatever I'm writing about at the time. And I'll need to get, what I usually do is I'll get one source, then I'll go to another AI source, and then another AI source, then I'll go to Google, and then I'll see if the answers are all correlating. And if they are, then I'll take it as fact. But yeah, you just can't assume that what AI is spitting out is truth. So
I think we kind of touched on this already. The AI is going to be really impactful for art of all kind, whether it's video games, graphic design, even cake decoration. You can tell it what you're thinking you want something to look like. It spits it out. And yeah, if you want it a certain way, change it. Or take that and just draw it slightly different. Make it your own. Use that as a guideline. Like I've gone into an AI generation, photo generation to make a cake design that I couldn't quite picture in my head, but I knew how I wanted it to look. So I asked it to do it for me. It was a little wonky. It had I was supposed to draw something in buttercream on the top, and it was like half hanging off of it, but it got me the visual concept that I needed to be able to complete that cake order.
That's funny you should say that, because I was just talking to my daughter about this topic, because she is a graphic artist. She does my channel art and stuff. And I'll say, listen, I want a channel art that looks like this. This is what I got in my head. And she'll have a hard time guessing exactly what I want. And I said, wouldn't it be nice if you could just go into an art program, an AI art program, and enter in what I'm talking about, and then have it spit out something, and then you can keep refining it, and then eventually you draw it by hand when we get closer to what I'm thinking of. I think AI can help there. I used to never be on the side of AI. I thought AI was going to kill everything, and I'm seeing I use AI a little bit, and I'm seeing how it can really be a good assistant. It can really help. It can really help in the creation business, in the creation of content. It can help spur on and get you thinking about and narrowing down and focusing on something you want to talk about, whatever topic that may be. AI is very good in that respect. I could be like I want to, let's just say I want to make a new player video for Destiny, concerning the new currency system. I can say that exactly to the AI chat bot, whatever I decide to do. I'll say, give me an outline, and make it 5,000 words. And it will literally create that within seconds, not even a minute. And I can at least go through there and say, oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Let me make sure that's correct. Make sure that jives with what I've read out there. And then I can start putting together and put it in my style and write out my script, or write out whatever I want to talk about, a blog or whatever I decide to do. And in that regard, I think AI can be very powerful, but we have to be able to have some type of stopgap where it doesn't run everything. And that's what keeps me up at night, is the fact that our governments are starting to use more AI. And, I don't want a John Connor situation here. I don't want the robots going to war with us, taking out our sun and killing our power plants, and the Matrix effect coming into effect where they're using us as batteries. That shit scares the hell out of me. Okay.
AI is just,
I might have gone off track.
ChatGPT. It's not general AI.
I know. But I'm saying, if you look at the news and you follow the AI, it's growing fast, and it's learning fast, incredibly fast, and it's only getting better. What we see today is just the 1.0 version. What happens when we see the 14.0 version? That's what scares me a little bit. But if we can use it in a manner that helps us in creativity, Scarlet Shadow praising our AI overlords.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes,
Make sure we don't say
I
bad.
think Todd's already been
You don't want to say ill will of AI. We might get
taken over.
we might get censored. Anyway, no, it was a great point, Ranger. It was a great point, man. It's a great topic. Any closing arguments or anything you want to mention before we move on? Okay.
Nope.
Good. That was good. That was a good topic. Well, wait till you hear what I got to talk about tonight, and it is not gaming related. We'll do that right after this.
Hey, McMaximo here, one of the other Todds. You're listening to the Guardian Downcast, home of the coolest Discord group on the frickin' planet. Word.
All right, that leaves me. My final topic of tonight. It's kind of funny. I received this article from one of our latest community members, Bleehy, and with his permission, I wanted to share it tonight with all you guys. And the topic is 5,000 podcasts, 3,000 episodes a week, $1 cost per episode behind an AI startup's plan. The former Wondery executive, Janine Wright, is leading a new firm, Inception Point. Oh, by the way, this is Hollywood Reporter that came out with this article by Caitlin Houston. Make sure I give credit where credit's due here. Is starting a new firm called Inception Point AI that's betting on flooding the zone with audio content. She goes, I think that people who are still referring to AI-generated content as AI slop are probably lazy Luddites. Interesting. Why pay a celebrity podcast host millions when you can create your own using AI? Inception Point AI is attempting to do just that. As the company builds a stable of AI talent to host podcasts and eventually become broader influencers across social media, literature, and more, amid the high costs for producing narrative podcasts and pricey short-term contracts for popular hosts, the idea here is being able to own, scale, and control the talent, unlike those of the off-the-cuff humans, and produce shows at a minimal cost. She goes, we believe in the near future, half the people on the planet will be AI. And we are the company that's bringing those people to life, said CEO Janine Wright, who was previously the chief operating officer for Wondery. You probably have listened to some of their podcasts, which has recently had to reorganize under the changing podcast landscape. The company is able to produce each episode for $1 or less, depending on the length and complexity, and attach programmatic advertising to it. This generally means that about 20 people listen to the episode. The company has made a profit on that episode without factoring in overhead. The Inception Point AI has more than 5,000 shows across its Quiet Please network and produces more than 3,000 episodes a week. Collectively, the network has seen 10 million downloads since September of 2023. It takes about an hour to create an episode, from coming up with an idea to getting it out in the world. And the company produces different levels of podcasts. The lowest level involves weather reports for various geographic areas, or simple biographies, or higher levels involving subject area podcasts hosted by one of about 50 AI personalities they've created, including food expert Claire Delish, get it? Gardener and nature expert Nigel Thistledown, Zombie, you'll get that one if you know what Thistle is, and Ollie Bennett, who covers offbeat sports. As for how it stacks up against human podcasts, I think people who are still referring to AI-generated podcast content as AI slop are probably lazy Luddites, because there's a lot of really good stuff out there, Wright said. The company has recently experimenting with short-form videos and creating social media profiles for AI personalities in the hopes of eventually turning some into influencers. Wright hopes to create thousands more personalities in the near future to see what personalities stick. The team is in the midst of navigating the ethics around creating these AI personalities as technology advances. Each host now identifies themselves as being AI at the top of the episode, so you're not going to be fooled. And they've stayed away from having the host invent their own backstories for now, but that could come. Wright says she could eventually imagine having hosts chat with listeners or sing happy birthday to them, but there's wariness about diving in too deep. I'm not going to create a personality that someone has a deep relationship with, said William Corbin, co-founder and CTO of the company. He added that the company does not do hard news at this point, but Wright says they might in the future. The idea behind the company came after Corbin accidentally developed a hit podcast during the pandemic in which he read daily CDC reports and then branched out into weather reports and other shows that took off, including a moment of silence. I kid you not. It's an actual minute of silence. At the time, they were not using AI. So there's a lot more they say about here into this, but basically they're using OpenAI, Perplexity, Claude, Gemini, all these different AI engines, and the podcast voices for the AI host are being customized and designed by the team. They're currently not, the bootstrap. They're not cash positive yet, but they are looking for money. They are looking for investors. She claims that it can exist alongside human podcast, and it can delve into areas where human hosts might not want to go that deep. Says Josh Taylor, co-founder and chief production officer. So, man, oh man, I didn't think we would be here yet, but here we are. We are at the point where you can literally make a podcast from AI from start to finish. I'm curious what you guys think about that, because that is disturbing to me. And by the way, I have listened to an AI podcast on podcasting, and it was very informative, but it was so boring. Everybody was perfect, and the speech was perfect. There were no ums or ahs or anybody thinking about anything. And there was just something missing. It's just something missing when I listened to it. So, what do you guys think? Mohawk, Kingsley, you guys having a comment on this?
I'm sorry. It sounds like bullshit. I
agree.
Oh my God. I will not listen to one. I'm not even going to go seek it out. And I pray that it never pops up on a recommended podcast to me, wherever I listen to them. As you said, there is something about having human interaction on a podcast. Ranger and I have only been doing ours for the past 6 weeks, and we have been told by multiple people how awesome we are as a duo just by the way that we interact with each other. And I laugh so much on our podcast that I get messages from other people. Sweaty Spooks is one of them. He's messaging and he's like, I love your laugh. It's so cool. It's such a breath of fresh air, And I can't imagine listening to something that doesn't sound human.
Kingsley?
Yeah, of course, I did know about this, and I've actually heard some of these examples for a few months, even before you've heard some of them.
Right.
I listened to this general talk podcast called 2 Cents Radio, and they have been experimenting with replaying versions of their podcast or even just little snippets. And there's a lot of systems you can use out there. Google Notebook was one that they were using a lot.
Notebook LM too.
It's impressive, but also the person in the article saying that people that don't think that we're just Luddites that haven't heard it, that's a little unfair because like you said, and like I've experienced, it is really good, better than some people might expect. But you need to listen to it for about, I'd say worst case scenario, 5 to 10 minutes before you can notice either some imperfections because we're not all the way there yet, or if you don't notice an imperfection, most people will notice the soullessness of it.
Right.
Like they could talk in inflections very well. They'll say things like to make it sound more human, and they'll do all these interesting things. But you'll still notice at some point it's a little off.
Yeah.
That being said, oh, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. That being said, I don't have a problem with it as long as it's being fairly stated. Like I said, we were kind of between segments. I think there needs to be rules or laws where like people need to know if it's AI generated.
Right.
I think there can be a case for it. Like you said, if maybe some people don't want to go super deep into a topic, or something, there can be information learned that maybe someone wants to present, but they don't want to talk about it, or who knows? It's like, maybe no one will care. I don't care if people care. I'm not saying I'm trying to promote it, but I don't have a problem with it as long as we know it's AI.
Yeah.
I don't want people tricking us.
Another thing that's in my opinion, and there's probably other podcasters out there that are going to disagree with me, but advertisers are flooding the podcast space as we speak. I mean, podcast advertising can now be delivered programmatically, which means when you make your show, they'll automatically insert it where they think there's a break in the voice. And if you've listened to even a few popular podcasts lately, some podcast dialogue will just be abruptly cut off and boom, here comes the ad. It's very disruptive in my opinion. And the reason I don't have programmatic ads in our podcast, in our audio versions, I insert manually info ads about our podcast, promoting members of our community too, that have been on our show in the past. I'll never do outside advertising on this podcast. I think that advertisers are going to ruin a good thing about podcasts. The fact that they are the total the fact that podcasting is a total opposite of radio right now, and what's happening to radio, it's getting small. Their audience is dying off because people want to hear music or a radio talk show, but they don't want to have an ad every 10 minutes. And yes, I apologize for those of you who have to see ads in Twitch and YouTube. I just buy the premium edition. I give them my money every month, and then I don't ever have to be bothered with it. It's like $15 to $20 a month. It's worth it to me because I use the platform a lot. So you will see ads sometimes on some of my replays of our video episode. But I'll never put them in our audio episodes. That's why we have a Patreon community. They support any of the production costs, making this hobby not an expense and at least pay for what it takes to make a podcast. But the fact that the advertisers are in a boom situation right now with podcasting becoming more and more popular, especially the bigger ones. This is, I think, what is bringing in a lot of this AI, and I'm going to call it slop. But I guess it's not totally slop, because if you lived in a small little town in Alaska and you wanted to tune into something that gave you the weather report for the day, even though I can do it on my phone here in about 5 seconds, and you just want to hear a voice tell you what the app is, or like there's AI generated video content on YouTube today. It's very technical stuff. Like, here's what you need to do to unclog your toilet. First, do this. I mean, it's basic stuff. And sometimes it's enough for me to listen to something like that. But there's a lot of times I just want to have someone that's down to earth and can relate to me and what's going on, and be able to friendly and effectively talk to me about, what problem I'm trying to solve. But when it comes to creative stuff, like opinions on, that's what our podcast is, right? It's a sounding board for the game we love to play. We have our opinions on what we think about the game. We share our experiences, our things we do through the week, and people relate to that. And I think that's the magic. And the fact that me and you have a form of chemistry as well, Kingsley. You're more exacting. You're more, you want to be fair and report fair facts, and you have a certain way of, and whatever. I tend to be a little more out there, or a little more hopeful. I guess that's a good word.
Fun.
Yeah. Fun. But that's the chemistry, just like you were talking about, Mohawk. You're going to develop that as you do your more and more podcast episodes. You're going to know more about your host, and then you're going to know what you can say something to gaslight them, like I do all the time with Kingsley. But what I'm saying is, it's fun. It makes it fun, and that's why people listen, is they want to hear what you think. They want to hear your opinion, and if it aligns with what they think. That's podcasting, man. And I just don't know how. I don't know how AI can do that. That's a human element that I don't think that AI, at least today, can't figure out how to do that. I don't know. Any other comments on?
Well, it's figuring it out more and more that it can get into small little markets. Like you said, the perfect example with weather. We've had that since the 90s with the Weather Channel, with the little computer voice that would come on.
Yes. Yep.
People didn't call it AI back then. That's the funny thing about how I don't even like calling on this AI. It's really not AI. Yeah. It's just large language models and stuff. But anyways, it's, I think there is areas where it can, and it's totally respectful to be in and stuff. I think we're just playing around as humans. We're testing things. I think it's going to come down to, like, sure, there's going to be some podcasts where we're like, okay, that's entertaining enough, even though we know it's not humans. Maybe some people try to push some lines, maybe some laws will be made. I take a very practical approach, and I don't see any major problems with AI ruining the world. I could be wrong in 10 years. I'll eat my words, but no, where it'll cause problems if humans force it to be used where we don't want it used in other spots. Government, corporations, whatever, like that's where it could be wrong. But just the idea of AI in general is not wrong, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah. Mohawk?
I think it's unfortunate that in that article they're talking so much about, basically making a quick buck off
it's a money game.
Podcast too.
It's a numbers game. Yeah,
exactly. And content creation itself has gotten out of hand. I am so grateful for these little communities that we have, because being on these podcasts is just a time to hang out, and cool, we get to record it and then we share it with the rest of the world. And I think that is like one of the coolest parts about content creation. However, the whole thing where you need to make money off of it, you need to make it your job, it's so like, I don't even know how to explain it, but I hate that has become the focus for content creation now. That was one of the very first things that Ranger and I spoke about when we set things up. I was like, do you want to do a Patreon? He said, no.
Yeah.
We're not doing a Patreon. I mean, he's spending probably $20 in total for a couple programs that he's got. Someone pushes out our episode on 4 platforms once a week, does it for us so we don't have to go in and do it individually. And it's worth it, but he and I can pass that finance back and forth. There's no need to try to make money off of things.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's your hobby.
No, I mean,
you don't expect to make money from your hobby.
Granted, you guys have been doing it for a long time. Even Space Mafia, Dudes Playing Stuff, they've been doing things for a while. I'll absolutely pay for y'all's Patreon because I know it keeps you guys going. It helps you upgrade equipment. Here you are streaming on 2 different platforms tonight, and, whatever the case may be. But that to me isn't an out of hand thing. It's, that article seems like it was focusing a lot on, it only costs $1 per episode to make, and
paid content,
things like that.
Well, what they're saying is they're going to sell them. If you want this episode, it's $1. And people think, oh man, $1? Really? I'll drop that out of my pocket every day. But it adds up. If you listen to an episode every day, that's $7 a week. That's $28 a month.
Exactly.
More than $28 a month if you're talking 4.3 weeks.
I'm telling you, people want to have an enterprise spirit, and some people may not care to do this, and I haven't either, although I probably should have. But you can find ways to make a lot of money with AI. And again, you should never trick anyone. Yeah. But there's a story of some 16-year-old kid or something that made an App Store app.
Wow.
All through AI, and then he made a fair amount of money from it. So,
crap.
I mean,
it's to be done.
It is what it is. Always be enterprising, always be looking for ways to make money, but don't try to trick people. Be upfront, and may not be the best method in the long run, but generally, again, as a fair person, I don't want to limit ideas unless it's truly harming someone, and tricking someone is going with that version of harm that I'm talking about. Yep. But as long as they're not breaking any laws, I don't have any issues with people trying to make a buck off of AI.
As long as it's regulated properly and you have to disclose that this is AI. I did, I've already talked about that. I do some of my editing now is using AI, because what used to take me 4 hours to edit a 2.5 hour podcast, I can now do it in a little over an hour, because AI will do all the noise reduction. It'll do the audio leveling for me. Just things that I would have to do by hand that would just take extra time.
It's just a fancy word of computer program.
Yeah,
it really is. If this is AI right now, we've had AI since the 70s when computers programs have been around.
In a certain way, yes. But I do have a chat bot that I go to when I'm trying to generate ideas about another episode I want to make, especially in my 50 years experience required, because I got a lot of topics, but sometimes you just need a little push on how to ease into that story or ease into that topic, and AI can help you sometimes, because it It does. It's a text writer basically. It tries to think what you're thinking. You could even give it prompts like, "Hey, write it in my style," or things like that. You can give them a sample of your writing style, and it can get it back to you in your style. I actually did a story on the last. I'm going to be honest here. I did a story on the last roundtable when we had Zombie Pops and Deadpool 1 Merc on. And it wrote me a script, AI script. I had a handwritten script, and I decided to go with the AI script because it took out about 2,000 words of the script I was about the story. And I listened to it back, and I says, I'll never, ever do that again because it didn't sound like me. It sounded like I was literally reading something off a screen, and it wasn't.
Well, I even told you, right? I was like,
Yeah.
It was weird how you said it.
Yeah, that's because AI wrote that script. I tried it one time. Because I think I had spent a lot of time on another part of the podcast, and I ran out of time, and I got desperate. And I said, okay, I wrote out basically what I wanted to talk about, and then I said, okay, AI, write this script. I submitted my script. I said, write this, but knock out 2,000 words, and I'm telling you, it did not sound like me at all, and that was my lesson learned. If you go back and listen to our last roundtable episode, I was the last story. And I was talking about Sony and PlayStation and Bungie. And if you hear me talking about that, I was reading from a script that AI generated, and I was so uncomfortable the whole time reading that. And now I learned my lesson. It's all about it. That's a prime example of how the human element has to be in your podcast. And if you want to, if you want to be able to connect to people, but I did mention that I do use AI when it comes to idea generation. I don't use any AI art. My daughter does all my artwork. I try to keep her employed, and things like that. But yeah, as far as the Patreon element there, Mohawk, I actually sent my podcasting costs to my accountant because I can write off some of it. Because I loop it in, I can take it off some of my personal income, but it's a very fine line when you're doing that kind of stuff. But because you have to treat it as a business when it gets to a certain level. In Patreon, you're getting paid money. You have to report that money to the government, and because of that, I actually got to see what I was paying throughout the year, and it was thousands of dollars every year that I was paying, and just Discord boost. The AI program I use to generate ideas for whatever it may be. I have subscriptions to a ton of stuff, including our new bot that we just have, the Sesh bot, our Xbox, damn it, Todd, our Owl Sector Alliance, our Owl Sector bot that we use that creates the group ups where you can plan events and stuff, because our last one that we were paying for crapped out. So Kingsley introduced me to it. You guys pay for that. That's the only way I could afford to do it. So we pay a monthly fee to that place to able to have that in our Discord. And I can go on and on. There are little things. If you start, it's literally death by 1,000 cuts when it comes to costs when you're trying to run a community and run a podcast. And yes, some of them I probably don't need to do, but it just makes the production better. And because of that, and because we have a Patreon community that does that, I feel I need to give something back to them. That's why I produce Patreon episodes. It's something I can give back to as a thank you, personal thank you to our patrons that month in and month out, pay that Patreon. And we have some Patreon supporters that pay a lot of money every month to keep our production going. So that's why they get called out every week on our show. But I don't forget, I know every person that is in our Patreon community, and it's just amazing. And I got to give it to Arisen Phoenix. He's not here now, but he was in earlier. He's the one that convinced Hazel and I to even start one. He goes, man, if you did a Patreon, I'd be the first person to sign up. And we decided to do it, and look where we are now. So, not that this is some kind of selling point for Patreon, but it's
did a
just
good job selling it.
It's just part of the cost. You mentioned Patreon when you guys were starting a podcast, and I think Patreon is a good service. It's a way your fans can actually make sure that you keep podcasting, that it doesn't become prohibitively expensive. So, because you'll find out as your podcast starts to grow and you start to have a bigger community, it costs money to maintain that stuff. So,
yeah. Well, even I started boosting our own server because I want one of those little server tags now on Discord.
Yeah, MJT2, you nailed it. Patreon is like a tip jar. When you go in and when you go to the fast food restaurant and you zap your card or you scan your phone and it says leave a tip, I'm like, wait a minute, you guys don't even pick up my trash. I got to put it in the trash can too. Why am I giving you a tip? But I'm thinking if my daughter worked there, they probably take a cut. They probably split the tips at the end of the night. So damn it. Okay, I'll tip. Fine, whatever. I'm not going to miss that 10% or 15%. So. But it's exactly what it is. It's like a tip jar. So I don't know how we got off on that subject, but this whole podcast has been so AI focused. It's crazy how much that is integrated into our lives now. But that's it, guys. That is our show tonight. I want to thank MohawkAngel and AraluenRanger01. He had to go. He had to attend to his special needs child, and but we thank him for being on the show as well. Before we go, though, Mohawk, I want to hear about this podcast you guys are doing. Give us the plug. Give us the plug. We want to hear about what this podcast is. What's it called?
Shameless plug.
What's it about? Tell us about it.
Yes. So, about 6 episodes now ago, Ranger and I started a podcast called Beyond the Lvl Up. We are an adult podcast, quite literally centered around being an adult. While balancing having various hobbies and interests and keeping up with responsibilities like work, being parents, tending to self-care, whatever you have to tend to as an adult. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of banter, a lot of giggles. We've had some of our very best friends of the gaming community come on already and chat with us. Like Elmer Fudd talked about D&D. One of our community members named One Lucky Bug talked about how she's a graphic designer. We had Eggman talk about D&D and something else. I forget what it is. We also spent half an episode shit talking members of Marvel Rivals community.
Nice.
Because we had some drama going on, and we kind of just made it a little griefing session for a second and just let it all out. But yeah, you will hear me giggle a whole heck of a lot. Most of our episodes are under 2 hours. I think we've had one so far that's a little bit over 2 hours.
It happens.
Yeah. We are doing our first live episode on this upcoming Sunday night. I'm hoping at 7:00 Eastern. We will be live on our Twitch if you look for Beyond the Lvl Up pod.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll just be Ranger and I this weekend, which would be our first one since our first episode. But I'm excited to kind of catch up with him. We talk every week, but also getting that like one-on-one catch-up time is also really cool. So yeah, if you like hobbies and just want another community to hang out with, we have a Discord. We are also on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio.
Nice.
And I am missing one. I forget what the other one is.
Probably Spotify. Spotify, Apple,
Amazon.
I
always
Amazon
forget
Music.
Amazon.
Amazon Music. Yep,
yes.
We are as well.
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome. So. Very cool. Remember the days of listening to your favorite radio station and chilling out by the pool, or maybe rocking out in your car singing to those songs you knew by heart on the way to work, only to be interrupted frequently to annoying ad breaks? Today, it seems like there's just as much advertising as there is music, and why podcasts have become so popular. But I see more and more podcasts following that same trend, and it seems the corporate machine is slowly intruding into your listening space. This is why podcasts are so great, because we don't have to accept this, and thanks to our Patreon community, we won't be placing any outside ads or promotion into our show. So continue to enjoy our conversations ad-free. If you would like to join our Patreon community, check out GuardianDowncast.com and hit the Patreon button to find out more and how you can help out. Later, Guardian. Speaking of patrons, I want to give a shout out to all of our patrons in our community who give back every month since 2020 when we first started doing this. Thank you very much and everything you guys do for us. And don't forget, if you are a patron of the show, there is tons of extra content at patreon.com/support Guardian Downcast. So if you've just joined us and you haven't checked out all of our video and behind the scenes episodes, don't forget That's there for you guys. I made it myself. I hope you like it. Want to give a shout out to our highest level patrons of the show, our Dungeon Champion patron, that would be Deadpool 1 Merc, and a thank you to our Raid Boss patrons, Jealous, Frostbite, and Amazing Taco King. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you to all of our patrons. Before we go, some final thoughts to wrap up this week. Okay, so the jury's in, right? AI is coming for us all. Seriously, though, it seems like that AI is here to stay. I mean, so my opinion is we should learn to use it effectively and make our life a little easier, especially for the mundane things that take up space in our heads, right? I got to admit, I'm pretty new to AI, but I'm finding that there are some really good things that come from it, at least at this current period in time. Where it goes from here is a bit scary. Mohawk and Ranger also mentioned the state of the gaming industry in their eyes, and not to sound like a record here, but AI, I think, really is going to truly change how the gaming industry makes their content. When and how much is still the question. Kingsley also went over a story where console manufacturers are doing what they have to do in order to stay profitable, and that's to be accessible to as many of the gaming world as possible. But I'm curious, what do you think? Let me know in our Discord Guardian Downcast feedback channel. It's real simple. The universal invite is discord.gg/Guardian Downcast, all one word. Our community has always been very welcoming to our new members, so don't hesitate to jump in with us like-minded Destiny gamers out there. You can also give us feedback via email, guardiandowncast@gmail.com, or let us hear your voice by leaving us a voicemail at guardiandowncast.com. I wanted to mention also, I got an email from a new member in our Discord on our website. By the way, you can always contact us there, by the way, guardiandowncast.com/contact us. And he had a question. He says, there's no place to click to get into the clans if I want to get in a clan. Well, we don't make you jump through too many hoops to get in our clans. We do have 3 of them, and there is room in most of them. But all you have to do, just for future knowledge, if you do join our Discord and you want to join one of our Guardian Downcast clans, all you have to do is @clan admin. Everybody's allowed to do this. It'll alert all of our clan admins and moderators in our Discord, and they will make sure that we get an invite out to you. One thing we do need from you, though, is we need your Bungie ID, because we have to be able to determine who is joining our clan and that they are, in fact, in our Discord. That's our only rule. You got to be in our Discord. We communicate to everybody through our Discord, and we do have a special clan-only chat where only our clanmates between our 3 clans can talk in one channel. Not to mention our Owl Sector bot, where we can set up games. You can go to our Destiny LFG channel if you want to get into something last minute. We got a lot of options for you, so it's all here for you, free of charge. So check it out. Hey, before you go, check out my brand new podcast, 50 Years Experience Required. It's on all the podcast apps out there that you normally use. In a nutshell, it's about personal stories and experiences that I've had and the lessons learned from trial and error. I mean, my hope is that these topics of conversation can help you in everyday life, and the topics are all over the place. It's less than 30 minutes, so it won't take too much of your time, probably the amount of time it takes you to get up, get a shower, and get to work in the morning. I just officially released episode 5 last week, where I discuss my new outlook on health, especially that I'm now on the back 9 of my life. And I give you kind of my plan that has been working for me, and maybe it'll work for you. But it's all about investing in your health early as possible. Ever since I turned 56 in June of this year, I've been adhering by this plan. And there's been stuff I talk about in this episode that really opened my eyes to fitness and getting in shape, losing the weight, and just thinking about my health. So I hope you check it out. Give it a listen and check out my other episodes, ranging from setting up my business, the day my son was born, where there was kind of a unique twist at the end there, my thoughts on money, and much more, marriage, love, all that stuff. All examples and stories from my 50 years of trial and error. It's 50 years experience required on all the podcast platforms out there. Next week, Kingsley and I will return with another live episode. I'm sure we'll catch up, talk more about Destiny, Ash, and Iron, and whatever news comes our way. We'll probably discuss what happened with the Epic Desert Perpetual contest this last week. It's 9 p.m. Eastern Time this next Thursday. in our Discord stage channel, in our YouTube and Twitch. And our YouTube and Twitch channel is ToddtheGatr, ToddtheGatr. We'll be streaming it live to all 3 platforms simultaneously, so I hope you can join us. That's a wrap. Another episode in our collection. For our new listeners out there, we have 322 other episodes with interviews from gamers all over our community, talking Destiny and whatever topics come up on our Roundtable episodes just about every month. So take a look at those, especially if you're just finding out about us. And if you like what you hear, hit that share button. Tell a friend about us. Everything is at GuardianDownCast.com. Thanks to our guests, MohawkAngel and AraluenRanger, for stopping by on the show this week. And check out their new podcast, Beyond the Lvl Up. I'll have links in our show notes down below if you want to check them out. Thanks again to Kingsleymac, my co-host. Every week he shows up and gives us his thoughts on whatever we talk about. And remember, you can contact me, ToddtheGatr, ToddtheGatr, across all the socials and gaming platforms out there. Remember, as you're playing Edge of Fate, take breaks, get outside and touch grass. Keybobs, welcome to the community. We're Guardian Downcast, your stories, your community, and your destiny. And be good to your fellow Guardians in the Destinyverse.
Guardians are measured by their ability to come back from defeat. So stand. Fight!
Thank you all so very much for listening. And later, Guardian. Well, thanks for coming on tonight. That was a lot of fun. Great topics tonight. And it's just all I can tell you when you go live, just don't take it too seriously. Just have fun with it. You're going to mess up big. It's going to happen. I know there's people listening to this or watching this show tonight who watched our first handful of live episodes, and they were a train wreck. They were terrible. I was learning how to do overlays, and they weren't popping up right, and we couldn't hear people. We couldn't hear people. We had to sit there and troubleshoot live. It was a nightmare. But now, once you get it's just like riding a bike. Once you get to doing it a lot, you get used to it. You learn everything to press, and it helps that I have 4 screens to look at, so I can spread everything out where my ADHD doesn't get too crazy. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Just have a lot of fun with it. I'm looking forward. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna look it up when this podcast is off tonight, and I'll listen to a few episodes. I haven't listened to it. I didn't know anything about it, actually. I didn't know you guys had a podcast. And then when you said you did, I said, oh, you guys got to come on and talk about it. So
our origin story is kind of funny too. I'll have to tell you that later.
Okay. And our YouTube and Twitch, it's ToddtheGatr, ToddtheGatr.